Chapter 16. Su Yun suddenly stretched out his hand and slapped the table. The long-haired youth used all of his strength but was unable to flip it over. His face turned red with embarrassment. At this time, the long-haired youth realized that he was no match for Su Yun. He turned around and wanted to run. Su Yun stepped forward and grabbed his collar. He pulled him back and punched him in the face. This punch hit the tip of the long-haired youth's nose. The long-haired youth's brow bone was broken and blood flowed out. 2 of his front teeth were also knocked out. His mouth was filled with sour, sweet, bitter, and spicy tastes. Su Yun only had one word to use when dealing with this kind of hooligan. Beat him up. The long-haired youth could not resist and quickly begged for mercy. His front teeth were knocked out and he spoke with a voice full of air. I was wrong. I was wrong. Don't hit me. Su Yun threw the long-haired youth to the ground like he was throwing garbage. What's the situation with the fly? Who taught you this crooked trick? Brother, I beg you to forgive me and let me go. The long-haired youth naturally did not dare to speak carelessly. You're quite stubborn. Su Yun chuckled. Guagua, bring me the knife. Ruan Qingshuang knew that Su Yun was only scaring them. Therefore, she allowed Guagua to excitedly run to the kitchen and bring back a kitchen knife. When the long-haired youth saw the shiny kitchen knife, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb. Brother, what are you doing? Let's talk things over. I was the one who released the fly. I even blew it up at home. You can just treat it as a fart. You're really wicked, aren't you? Su Yun raised the kitchen knife in his hand, which gleamed coldly. Who did this? Brother, I deserve to be cut. Give me a chance, I will definitely change. The long-haired youth's Adam's apple moved. His legs trembled and he was about to pee. Su Yun sneered. I gave you a chance, but you refused to speak. I will count to 3. The 4th Wolf Gang. The 4th Wolf Gang asked me to do this. The long-haired young man did not wait for Su Yun to start counting before shouting out. He even frantically took out a small bottle with 4 or 5 fried flies in it from his pocket. This is also what they gave me. Seeing this, everyone also confirmed the truth of the matter. They all cursed this group of gangsters and the 4th Wolf Gang for being despicable. Their worries about the hygiene of the medicinal cuisine house just now were swept away. After such a disturbance, not only did the reputation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant not be affected, but it also made more people believe that the medicinal cuisine was in charge of hygiene. Guagua also opened a public kitchen. As long as it didn't affect Su Yun's work, customers could enter the kitchen and watch as they pleased. The smile on Ruan Qingshuang's face became more and more relaxed. Ever since she came to Hadong City alone, she had never felt as relaxed as she did today. Now, she did not regret her decision to run away from the marriage. Who would have thought that now, not only did she not have nothing, but she also had her own medicinal cuisine restaurant, an innocent and lovely daughter, and even met a man who could make her fall in love with him. After the 5 troublemakers were driven away, the business of the medicinal cuisine house was even better than yesterday's scene. Su Yun's legs were weak from cooking, and Guagua's hands were cramping from counting money. When the last wave of customers finally left, Su Yun was relieved. Soon, he made 3 servings of grass-stone silkworm quail soup and an old duck steamed yam. He called Ruan Qingshuang and Guagua to eat together. At this time, Qin Wan suddenly pushed the door open and entered. Sister Wan, Guagua jumped up and greeted her. Guagua, did you miss me? Qin Wan held Guagua's little hand and giggled. Ruan Qingshuang was also in a good mood and greeted her. Wan, you are here. Have you eaten? Come and have some with us. Hee, Sister Qingshuang knows me well. I really haven't eaten yet. Qin Wan playfully stuck out her tongue. Guagua looked at the two with a confused face. I call Sister Wan and Sister Wan calls Mom sister. Then, should I call Mom sister too? You still have to call me Mom. Ruan Qingshuang was annoyed and amused at the same time. Qin Wan was amused by Guagua's cuteness. Then, what does Guagua want to do? Why don't Guagua call Sister Wan or Mom Wan instead? That won't do. Guagua pointed at Su Yun with a serious face. That would be too easy for my dad. He only has 2 wives. Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan were instantly speechless by Guagua's words. Cough. Su Yun coughed softly and changed the topic of Guagua. Qin Wan, I didn't see you when I was working. Now that I'm eating, you're here. Is there anyone who does chores like you? Qin Wan snorted. That morning, there was a commendation ceremony in the station. Everyone was praising her for the great contribution she made yesterday. Destroying the casino of the 4th Wolf Gang was definitely a great contribution. Not only was Qin Wan promoted, but the entire Wenhui District Police Station was also praised. Inspector Liu was in a good mood. He gave Qin Wan half a day off and asked her to go home and report the good news. Qin Wan didn't go home directly. Instead, she went to the medicinal cuisine restaurant because she knew that all the credit belonged to Su Yun. It had nothing to do with her. Qin Wan originally wanted to thank Su Yun, but she was angry when she saw him. I'm here to talk to Sister Qingxuang and Guagua. Can't I? It has nothing to do with a man like you. Dad, go and make 2 more dishes. Guagua said, It's not convenient for you to interrupt when a woman is talking. Su Yun smiled. It would be a good thing if these 2 beauties became sisters. At least Ruan Qingxuang would not be alone here. He didn't have to worry about her being bullied. After all, Su Yun didn't know if he would stay in Hadong City forever. Things were unpredictable. He had even left the place that he wanted to stay for the rest of his life. Where else could he stay for the rest of his life? The 3 women were like a drama. Obviously, although Guagua was young, her mental age was not young. She chatted well with Qin Wan. Moreover, the 3 of them made an appointment to go shopping and buy beautiful clothes the next weekend. In the blink of an eye, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The guys who sold vegetables and meat that they had agreed on in the morning came to deliver the goods. Although Qin Wan was the only daughter at home, she completely put down her pride and helped Ruan Qingxuang and Su Yun to unload the goods. Su Yun was very satisfied with Qin Wan's performance. He proudly pulled Guagua to his side and said, What do you think? The free handyman that Godfather found is not bad, right? Dad, why do I feel that you want to find a second mother for Guagua? Guagua looked at Su Yun with suspicion. Qin Wan blushed because of Guagua. Ruan Qingxuang stared at Guagua and said, Is your butt itching again? I'm just saying what you think. Guagua pretended to be serious. Fortunately, Qin Wan picked up the phone and relieved the awkward atmosphere. She said a few words and then hung up the phone. I'll go back to the police station first. They said that the boss of the 4th Wolf Gang went to bail someone out. Sister Wan, 30,000 yuan. Guagua quickly stretched out 3 chubby fingers. Okay. Qin Wan did not waste any time. After saying goodbye to Ruan Qingxuang and Su Yun, she quickly rode back to the police station. Not long after Qin Wan left, the business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant continued. Everyone who had tried the medicinal cuisine was full of praise. Word of mouth spread, and soon, the medicinal cuisine restaurant became the most popular restaurant in the Wenhui district of Hadong City. At night, they were busy until 8 or 9 o'clock. Finally, the restaurant was empty. For the first time, Guagua stuffed the money into her wallet without counting it. She did not want to count it anymore. Tired. Sister Shuang, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. You and Guagua should go to bed early. Su Yun took off his apron and changed back into his underwear and singlet. You don't have to get up early to buy groceries. You should sleep more in the morning. Then, be careful on the road. Ruan Qingxuang still couldn't open her mouth to ask him to stay. Guagua looked at her mother, who wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. She sighed and shook her head like an adult. You're too reserved. Sigh. Before Su Yun went out, a beam of dazzling xenon headlights penetrated the glass door and directly shot into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Ruan Qingxuang and Guoguo's eyes turned dark. After the lights of the shiny black Audi A6 were turned off, a tall and thin young man jumped out of the driver's seat. He quickly opened the back door of the car. A middle-aged man with white hair and triangular eyes got out of the car. He gave off a vicious and unpleasant feeling. Then, a few more cars stopped behind the Audi. A group of burly men with dragon and tiger tattoos got out of each car. The people and cars together almost surrounded the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Su Yun's keen sense of smell told him that this person did not come with good intentions. Ruan Qingxuang frowned slightly and was a little nervous. Guoguo's eyes also showed a touch of anxiety. She quickly hid behind Su Yun. Although the middle-aged man was smiling, he did not give off the slightest sense of kindness. He went straight to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The tall and thin young man who opened the door for him closed the door and quickly came to open the door. Su Yun said to the middle-aged man with a ferocious face, "Have you eaten?" "Yes, I have." The middle-aged man's voice was hoarse. He found a seat alone and sat down. He said to himself, "Medicinal cuisine is good stuff. It's the product of the combination of China's traditional medical knowledge and cooking experience. It not only uses medicine as food, but also gives medicine to the food. Medicine borrows the power of food, and food helps the medicine's power. The two complement each other and bring out the best in each other." As he spoke, the middle-aged man looked up at Su Yun, revealing a vicious look. He opened his mouth and said in a hoarse voice, "Am I right?" Su Yun immediately recognized the man's hoarse voice. He then sneered, "I should be the one looking for you, but I didn't expect you to come to me." The middle-aged man touched the sparse hair on his head. "Su Yun, you have the ability to step on 3 of my brothers. I admire your ability very much. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. If you work with me, I promise you will live 100 or 1,000 times more comfortable than now." "I'm not a wise man, and I also want to give you a word of advice." Su Yun smiled slightly. The middle-aged man frowned. In the past, when he took the initiative to throw out an olive branch, not many people would refuse. "What?" Su Yun's face was disapproving. "You have chicken feathers on a bat. Who do you think you are? Look at your age. I feel embarrassed to hit you. I'll give you a chance. Get out." Chapter 17. Young man, don't be so ignorant. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes and glanced at Guogua. His originally small triangular eyes instantly became a slit, and his whole person became more and more sinister. He was only in his 40s, and he was actually called a stinky old man. Naturally, he was unhappy in his heart. Guogua felt a chill in her heart, and quickly hid behind Su Yun. "So what?" Su Yun patted Guogua lightly, which immediately made her feel more secure. If he wanted to fight today, it would be fine even if he beat him to death. If Qin Wana knew that this old man was the mastermind behind her kidnapping, she might blame him for not beating him hard enough. The middle-aged man suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "Su Yun, although I, Wang Xuanqi, am not some Hadong overlord in the Wenhui district, I am still the master who can shake 3 times with a stomp of my feet. If you are willing to follow me, I guarantee that you will have a meteoric rise. A dignified man with aspirations to travel far, are you willing to stay in such a small restaurant?" "What's wrong with this? I think it's not bad." Su Yun crossed his legs and said, "I have food and drink here. Don't waste your breath with me. We are good people, and we are definitely not in the underworld. If you don't get lost, I will really beat you." Wang Xuanqi still did not give up and said unwillingly, "Brother, as long as you are willing to follow me, I will let you eat and drink every day. I will give you whatever kind of woman you want." "Brother, I have already given you enough face." "Face?" Su Yun shook his head, and crossed his legs and bounced up and down. "How much for 500 grams? Wang Xuanqi snorted and stood up. He no longer had the patience to talk to Su Yun. "Su Yun, I will give you a few days to think about my proposal. Otherwise, let's wait and see. I didn't hit you today because I'm in a good mood. Next time, you won't get the same treatment." Su Yun snorted and threw a word at Wang Xuanqi. Get lost. No matter what, Wang Xuanqi was a big gangster, but he still suppressed his anger. He knew that Su Yun was a talent. If the Fourth Wolf Gang could get such a strong member, they could easily take over the entire Hadong city, let alone the Blade and Axe Society and the Hero Society becoming the biggest gang in the Wenhui district. The boss of the Four Wolves gang left in a sorry state. Guagua secretly rejoiced that she and her mother had hugged such a thick thigh. Of course, it wasn't that easy for Wang Xuanqi to leave. After a few minutes, the two front tires burst at the same time. The car lost control and spun around on the spot, crashing into a number of cars. The driver was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He thought that someone had opened fire. Wang Xuanqi buried his head in his pants, thinking that his enemy had come to seek revenge. On the sidewalk, Cho Yun raised her cold face and snorted. She threw away the remaining 2 pebbles in her hand and left the scene in a flash. Because of the Fourth Wolf Gang's official declaration of war, Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua both felt the existence of danger. Su Yun didn't think much of it. The Fourth Wolf Gang's provocation was tantamount to seeking death. Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun alone was enough to make them suffer. Su Yun, can you live in the restaurant from now on? Ruan Qingxuang finally spoke. She only spoke because she felt that they could take care of each other. Besides, she knew that she couldn't protect Guagua at all. Su Yun's eyes lit up when he heard that. Although the Fourth Wolf Gang was a mob, it gave him a legitimate reason to live in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Okay, then I'll move in tomorrow. I'm also worried that the Fourth Wolf Gang will harm you. Why do you have to wait until tomorrow? Just stay today. Guagua pulled Su Yun and whispered, Mom usually wears very little after taking a bath at night. Guagua, what nonsense are you talking about? Ruan Qingxuang's face turned red. Guagua waved her small hand carelessly. I'm just telling the truth. Ruan Qingxuang really couldn't do anything to Guagua. The scene of her being exposed yesterday once again appeared in Su Yun's mind. Su Yun's heart suddenly brightened, but he firmly denied it. Guagua, I'm only living in the restaurant to protect your safety. Do you believe me? Hee Dad, why don't you tell me the truth? Guagua's eyes turned slyly. Guagua would rather believe a sow can climb a tree. Su Yun was instantly petrified. Ruan Qingxuang was speechless. She turned around and went upstairs to tidy up Su Yun's room near the staircase and an east-facing window. In fact, it didn't matter to Su Yun where he slept. As long as he had a place to meditate, it was fine. Su Yun said goodbye first. He also hurried back to his residence to tidy up his daily necessities. In fact, there wasn't anything important. The only thing he had was his backpack full of treasures. In less than an hour, Su Yun came back. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang had already helped Su Yun to tidy up his bed. This room was definitely moving in with the backpack. Mom, Guagua is sleepy. Guagua yawned. After Mom helps Uncle Su Yun tidy up, I will accompany Guagua to sleep, okay? Ruan Qingxuang smiled and patted Guagua's head. Guagua didn't appreciate it. Oh. We just started living together. Can't you wait to do some adult things? F***CK. Is she really only 7 years old? Su Yun almost vomited blood. Ruan Qingxuang's mouth twitched. She was completely defeated by this little brat. Mom will accompany you to sleep now. Ruan Qingxuang had no choice. She smiled bitterly at Su Yun. You can tidy up the rest yourself. Of course. What else could Su Yun do? He had to tidy it up himself. Otherwise, not only would he not get any benefits, but he would also be accused of messing around by Guagua. Wouldn't that be a great injustice? After Su Yun tidied up, he took a quick shower. Then, he calmed down and completed the breathing exercises that his master had instructed him to do. Wang Xuanqi returned to his residence from the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He found that there was no light in the house. He cursed in his heart. That little b***tch went somewhere to cause trouble again. Just as he walked to the door, Wang Xuanqi angrily glared at him. The door was kicked open. After all, he was an old gangster who had been in the underworld for many years. His heart sank as he strode into the room. "Who is it?" "Ha ha ha, brother. How are you these days?" A man's rough voice laughed. When Wang Xuanqi heard this voice, his whole body shivered. He looked towards the source of the voice and saw a bare-chested burly man sitting on the sofa. The burly man had a shocking scar on his face. Canary, who was his mistress, was tortured to the point of dying. Why is this devil here? "Brother, don't you remember your brother? I thought of you as soon as I came to Hadong." The man's eyes were cold. "Ha ha ha, brother, your taste is getting better and better. This girl is so good. Brother Mountain Cat. How do you have time to come to Hadong?" Wang Xuanqi was a big shot in Hadong City. He had never been afraid of anyone. Yet, he stuttered in front of this man. He didn't even dare to let out half a fart when he saw his woman being tortured like a pile of mud. This was because Wang Xuanqi knew very well that even if there were 10 or 100 of him, he was just an ant in the eyes of the underground world's masters. They could easily crush him to death. "Because I know you are here in Hadong." The burly man's eyes flashed. "Wherever you are, there will be women to play with." Ha 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 ha. Mountain Cat was a famous master in the underground world. These people usually mingled in big cities like Yanjing, Suong, Hujiang, and Guangzhou. Why would they suddenly come to Hadong City? "Brother Mountain Cat, you really know how to joke. Ha ha. Ha ha, if you need any help, just let me know." Wang Xuanqi was the local tyrant in the Four Wolves gang, but in front of Mountain Cat, he was nothing but a grandson. He knew very well that even though Mountain Cat called him brother, if he offended Mountain Cat, only death awaited him. Mountain Cat patted the dying woman lying beside him. "Brother's little lover has already helped me. Ha ha ha, I just want to ask you a few questions." Wang Xuanqi was relieved. If he could feed this guy with a woman, it wouldn't be a big problem. Ask. I'll tell you everything I know." "Brother, you're a local. Have you noticed any single women with children recently?" Mountain Cat said as he took out 2 photos from his shirt pocket and threw them on the table. Wang Xuanqi picked up the photos respectfully. The woman in the first photo was cold and beautiful. She was a stunner in the world. If he had seen her, he would definitely remember her. He shook his head and picked up the second photo. When he saw the innocent little girl with a pure smile, Wang Xuanqi's eyes lit up instantly. Wasn't this the damned girl from the medicinal cuisine restaurant who called him a stinky old man? Seems like brother has seen the person in the photo. Mountain Cat noticed the change in Wang Xuanqi's eyes and smiled in his heart. "Yes, I've seen this little girl before. She was in the medicinal cuisine restaurant on Donglin Street in Yiha Square." Wang Xuanqi nodded happily, hoping that his information could keep Mountain Cat in a good mood. "Are you sure?" Mountain Cat's eyes were cold. "It's really this little girl?" Wang Xuanqi was very sure. "I'm sure. Very sure." Mountain Cat stood up and put on his jacket with a cold smile. He said to Wang Xuanqi without any trace of politeness, "Brother, thank you for your woman. Remember to tell me when you change such a stunner. Ha ha ha, our tastes are too similar. That's why I recognize you as my brother. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, of course. Ha ha, of course. Wang Xuanqi could only smile apologetically. Mountain Cat ignored Wang Xuanqi's flattery and strode away. He didn't even look at the woman on the sofa who was almost in shock. Right now, there was only one thought in his mind. The severely injured violent Fox Venerable was about to die. This was a good opportunity for him. If he could kill the Fox Venerable today and bring back Feng Chensui's little princess, his status in front of the boss would definitely be elevated. Chapter 18. Deep in the night, footsteps came from the rooftop. Although the person had controlled his breath well, it still didn't escape Su Yun's ears. Soon, another set of footsteps came. It was light but heavy, as if someone was seriously injured. Su-yun didn't know who the former was, but the latter was definitely Cho-yun. The footsteps came one after another. The two of them seemed to be fighting. Suddenly, the latter's footsteps retreated, as if she was at a disadvantage. It seemed that there was going to be a good show tonight. Suddenly, the two shadows on the rooftop stopped. For a moment, the whole atmosphere was so quiet that it made people feel depressed. Su-yun nimbly put on his pants, put on his singlet, slipped on his flip-flops, and jumped out of the window. He tiptoed lightly on the edge of the window. His figure flashed, and his agile figure directly jumped to the rooftop. The whole movement was silent. Su-yun, who was hiding in the shadows, saw the cold light under the moonlight. Cho-yun stood on the south side of the rooftop of the medicinal cuisine house with the long yuan sword in her hand. Her seemingly weak body was suffused with a light but fierce murderous aura. As the long yuan sword was unsheathed, the murderous aura became more and more suffocating. She didn't think that the other party would find her so quickly. The attack just now had almost exhausted all her strength. On the north side of the rooftop stood a 7 feet tall man. His tall and powerful body exuded a strong murderous aura. His eyes were like that of a ferocious beast, and the scar on his face looked particularly frightening under the moonlight. "I didn't think that you would really hide in this unknown small city. It seems that I'm lucky. They searched high and low for you, but I, Mountain Cat, found you without any effort." This person was the man named Mountain Cat who appeared at Wang Xuanqi's residence. Mountain Cat's face was vicious. The scar on his face made people shudder. "Cho-yun, I advise you to surrender." Cho-yun's face was cold. She snorted and said disdainfully, "Mountain Cat, you dare to challenge me? You really don't know the difference between life and death." That being said, Cho-yun knew very well that she was barely holding on. If it wasn't for Mountain Cat's misgivings, she would have been defeated in the fight just now. "Humph. Cho-yun, do you still think you're the omnipotent and violent fox venerable from that day? Don't think I don't know your current situation. Even if I don't touch you today, you won't live for more than a few days. Why don't you obediently follow me back and be my boss's plaything slave? Who knows, maybe he will be merciful and use it to prolong your life for a few more days." Cho-yun's eyes flashed with a cold light. She really wanted to end this arrogant fellow with her sword. However, her body's condition told her that it was impossible for her to kill him in one blow. If she couldn't kill him in one blow, it was entirely possible that she would be exhausted by this second-rate master. Su-yun frowned slightly. It seemed that the fight just now had caused Cho-yun's body to break through the limit. If this continued, she would definitely die in front of this master. "Cho-yun, although I, Mountain Cat, have just entered the realm of a second-rate master, I'm afraid that you, an injured fox venerable, can't do anything to me. I'd like to see how long you can last." Mountain Cat suddenly sneered. His boxing gloves suddenly revealed 3 silver lights, revealing a claw-like weapon. That was probably how Mountain Cat got his nickname. Suddenly, Mountain Cat's body burst out a huge murderous aura. His whole body whistled and tore the quiet night sky, directly rushing towards Cho-yun. Slap! A flip-flop suddenly flew out with a sharp gust of wind, and slapped Mountain Cat's face, easily stopping Mountain Cat's unstoppable attack. Hoo! Mountain Cat took advantage of the opportunity to roll the person back. He immediately raised his vigilance to 100%, and a sense of crisis instantly filled his whole body. He saw Su-yun standing on the edge of the roof with one leg raised. He said with a mocking smile, "Sorry, my sweaty leg was a little slippery, and I accidentally flung it out." Mountain Cat's heart stopped. This was simply a great humiliation. He calmed his heart and checked, but he couldn't detect any combat power in this young man in front of him. Where did this idiot come from? "You're asking for death." Mountain Cat's face was ferocious. It was absolutely unforgivable to be hit in the face by a flip-flop thrown by an ordinary person. He leaped into the air and rushed towards Su-yun like a hungry wolf pouncing on its prey. Su-yun, however, was indifferent and still stood on the same spot. Just as Mountain Cat pounced, a strong murderous aura suddenly burst out from Su Yun's body. The murderous aura was like a rolling river. Mountain Cat was instantly stunned. He heard a series of crackling sounds. The sharp blades on his boxing gloves were all broken by Su Yun's 2 fingers. Mountain Cat lost the weapon he was proud of in just one move. Looking at the broken blades on his boxing gloves, Mountain Cat sighed in his heart. This kid is definitely not an ordinary person. He could actually break the blades made of steel. I'd like to see how a cat without nails can catch people. Su Yun had a mocking smile on his face, and the murderous aura in his smile was faintly discernible. Mountain Cat didn't expect this person to be an expert, and an expert who was not weaker than himself at all. He suddenly felt an inexplicable panic in his heart. He really didn't expect Violent Fox Venerable to be able to invite such a strong helper. Just as Mountain Cat was distracted, Su Yun's bare foot kicked straight at him with a "ah-de" sound. The heel went straight for the root of the problem, and like a hammer, it smashed hard on Mountain Cat's nose. Mountain Cat's nose was instantly broken, and his gums were split open, and his face was covered in blood. But after all, he was still a second-rate expert, and he reacted quickly. He did 2 backflips to avoid Su Yun's attack range. He was very clear that a battle between experts was very dangerous, and the possibility of him winning today was very slim. It was impossible to take all the credit for himself, so the first thing he had to do was to save his life, and then call for a strong helper. He secretly reached into his pocket and took out a dark red chip, and quietly threw it in the corner of the medicinal cuisine restaurant's rooftop. However, Mountain Cat seemed to have forgotten that there was someone else on the rooftop. And that person was the most dangerous existence. Even if she was seriously injured and on the verge of death, she would always find the most opportune time to kill. Suddenly, a cold light flashed across the night sky, like a bolt of lightning smashing down from the heavens. The neck of the second-rate expert of the underground world, Mountain Cat, was instantly torn open by the Dragon Abyss flexible sword. Fresh blood instantly spurted out from the torn skin. Before he died, Mountain Cat's eyes were fixed on the dark red chip he threw in the corner, and his eyes were filled with madness and vengeance. How could a second-rate expert withstand the combined attack of Cho Yun and Su Yun? Cho Yun was too valiant in killing people, and Su Yun frowned, too cold-blooded. Su Yun hopped on one leg to find his slippers, and used his hand to draw a cross in front of his chest, and said, "Amitabha, the sooner I die, the sooner I'll be reincarnated, and the sooner I'll take my revenge, and the sooner I'll take my revenge, it's none of my business." Cho Yun ignored Su Yun's nagging. She never believed in ghosts, and if there really were vengeful spirits, then there would be too many vengeful spirits looking for her for revenge. Although today it was just a second-rate expert, but it was enough to make Cho Yun feel a huge pressure and threat. She didn't think that the opponent's people would track her down so quickly, and she really didn't know what kind of people would come next. Although Cho Yun was already a first-rate expert, with her current physical condition, even a second-rate expert would have a hard time dealing with her. If it wasn't for Su Yun's help today, Cho Yun would have been exhausted by Mountain Cat and died. Thinking of this, Cho Yun couldn't help but be shocked. She didn't think that Su Yun was such a hidden expert. "You want to protect Guagua by yourself?" Su Yun threw this woman a cruel question. Thinking of the innocent Guagua in the medicinal cuisine house, Cho Yun's heart uncontrollably rose up, and she even wanted to end her own life. Then she wouldn't have to be so conflicted like now. "Didn't I tell you that the medicinal cuisine restaurant is hiring waiters with a salary of 1,000 a month? Food, accommodation, and treatment are all provided. Why don't you believe me?" Su Yun chuckled. "Have you taken the medicine I gave you?" Cho Yun's gaze toward Su Yun was no longer cold and vigilant, but full of curiosity and doubt. "Who are you?" "Didn't I already tell you? I'm just a pitiful person who was betrayed." Su Yun raised his eyebrows. He didn't want to talk about the past. It would only make his anger sore and uncontrollable. "Then why do you have the 9 treasures resurrection pill?" Cho Yun was able to confront a second-rate expert like Mountain Cat today completely because of the pill yesterday. If it wasn't for the 9 treasures resurrection pill, she probably wouldn't even have the strength to defend herself, let alone kill. Su Yun was stunned. "You mean the pill made with caterpillar fungus, wild ginseng, glossy ganoderma, agarwood, gecko, blood, antelope horn, deer antler, and snake? That's right. Cho Yun's expression was even more surprised. This guy could actually say the 9 treasures of the pill, but he didn't know the name of the pill? I call that thing the strength pill. Su Yun said indifferently. That thing wasn't a treasure to him. As long as he had the ingredients, he could make as much as he wanted. How is it? That thing is a little useful, right? Cho Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. The 9 treasures resurrection pill could be sold for millions in the underground world, but in this guy's mouth, it was just an ordinary strength pill. Who exactly was he? Cho Yun seemed to understand. The man in front of her clearly had more secrets than she did. She also understood the feelings of others who didn't want to talk about their own matters. Perhaps Cho Yun was especially grateful to Su Yun. She actually opened her mouth and said, "Thank you." "You're welcome. We'll be neighbors from now on." Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. Cho Yun didn't say anything else. She silently put away the Dragon Abyss flexible sword, then picked up the dead mountain cat. Su Yun didn't say anything about this. She was the one who killed him. It was better to let her clean up the battlefield. Although Su Yun was already used to bloody scenes, to be honest, he really didn't like this kind of scene. Chapter 19. Early in the morning, Su Yun was awakened by Guagua's knocking on the door. "Daddy, get up quickly. Guagua is hungry." What do you want to eat?" Su Yun got up, put on his beach pants and a singlet, and opened the door. "I'll go downstairs and see if there's anything good to eat. You go wash up first." Guagua blinked her eyes. Su Yun didn't understand what this girl meant. Su Yun patted Guagua's little head and smiled. "Then you go downstairs and wait for me." "Where's your mother?" "Maybe she went downstairs. There's something wrong with the bathroom door lock. You need to use the key to open it." Guagua's big eyes suddenly flashed, and then she turned and ran downstairs. Su Yun felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what it was. He was too lazy to think about it. He went to the bathroom, twisted the key, opened the door, and walked in. Now Su Yun finally knew why Guagua was acting strange. Ruan Qingxuang stood in front of Su Yun with a red face. She had just taken a shower and put on her underwear. She didn't even have time to put on her clothes. She remembered that she had locked the door. "Sister Shuang, I didn't see anything." Su Yun resisted the nosebleed that was about to spurt out, turned around, and closed the door. Ruan Qingxuang's heart dropped. She quickly put on her clothes with a red face. If it wasn't for the fact that she had an appointment with Qin Waner to go shopping, she didn't have the habit of waking up in the morning to take a shower. Ruan Qingxuang walked out of the bathroom and saw the key hanging on the door handle. She instantly understood Guagua's prank. "Guagua!" Ruan Qingxuang cried out. Guagua was so scared that she trembled, and her hand was almost squeezed by the fridge. She didn't have time to take the yogurt. She quickly ran to the door to see if Sister Wan had arrived. Fortunately, Qin Wan arrived at the medicinal cuisine restaurant before Ruan Qingxuang came downstairs. Qin Wan took off her uniform. She wore a bohemian-style high-waisted dress that accentuated her slender legs. A pair of denim blue canvas shoes made her cold and elegant temperament more refreshing and lively. Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua could not help but exclaim, "So beautiful." "You too." Qin Wan couldn't help but compliment them. Guagua was wearing a cute and fresh puffy dress, which gave off a princess-like vibe. Ruan Qingxuang was wearing a small floral dress, which also belonged to the bohemian style. Paired with a pair of fashionable flat shoes, it gave off a unique flavor. "You're wearing this to do odd jobs? Isn't that too unprofessional?" Su Yun also came downstairs. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. "Why are you three dressed up so devilishly?" Su Yun could not believe that women could be so attractive without makeup. They were the epitome of a true beauty that did not need Estée Lauder or Chanel to make up for it. "Are you stunned?" Qin Wan winked at Su Yun proudly. "You've never seen a beauty before, right? You're dazzled by seeing 3 today, right?" How is it? Does this dress look good? Ruan Qingxuang also looked at Su Yun. She was such a reserved person, yet she actually made fun of Su Yun. It seemed that she had already forgotten what had happened upstairs. Dad, do you think Mom is prettier? Or Sister Wan? Guagua threw a coquettish glance at Su Yun. She twisted her undeveloped body and said coquettishly, "Hee, or Guagua is prettier?" These three women almost electrocuted Su Yun to death. One of them was already enchanting enough, let alone three at the same time. Su Yun's soul almost left his body. Seductresses. Definitely seductresses. Fortunately, Tang Xuanzang did not meet you when he was searching for the scriptures. Otherwise, he would have quit long ago. Su Yun had to give them a high score of 90 points in his heart. According to Su Yun's standard, a woman with a score of 80 and above was worth a man's life to take a bite of her. If he met a woman with a score of 90 and above, he had to take her down regardless of life or death. Su Yun's words made Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Waner giggle. They were gorgeously dressed, which made Su Yun's heart itch. Dad, can you look after the shop today? Guagua said with a smile. Guagua will also give you the economic power. Mom and I will go shopping with Sister Wan. Guagua has not bought beautiful clothes for a long time. Qin Wan also stretched out her white slender hand and waved it in front of Su Yun. Bye-bye. Thank you for your hard work, Chef Su. Even Ruan Qingxuang smiled apologetically. Su Yun, I will leave it to you today. Guagua really wants to go, and I have promised Wan, F***CK. You guys are not playing like this, right? You guys are going out to have fun without me? Su Yun looked on helplessly as the two top-grade beauties walked out of the shop with a super top-grade little girl. His heart was filled with bitterness. Today is the weekend. Am I the only one working hard on the front line? But then again, Ruan Qingxuang came to Hadong City alone to make a living. Since she had the chance to go out and relax, of course, she would go. Su Yun understood this very well. Whatever, Su Yun put on the apron. He didn't believe that he, the great Su Yun, couldn't handle a small medicinal cuisine store like this. However, the customers who came at noon did not give Su Yun a chance to be busy. When it was time to eat, 4 customers came into the medicinal cuisine house one after another. Everyone seemed to be possessed. They asked for a free poria and mung bean soup and found a seat to sit down and began to drink it. They didn't feel embarrassed at all. Su Yun asked many times what they wanted to eat, but no one answered him. However, the 5th customer who came in also asked for a bowl of mung bean soup. Su Yun finally realized that something was wrong. But looking at the clothes of these customers, none of them were young gangsters with tattoos. These people were all holding the free bowl of poria and mung bean soup as their staple food. They drank it bowl after bowl, feeling very comfortable. Soon, the 6th customer, the 7th customer, the 8th customer, the 55th customer, the 56th customer. The seats in the medicinal cuisine shop were unknowingly filled by the army of people who came to drink the free mung bean soup. The customers who came later were helpless when they saw that there was no place to sit. They could only turn around and leave. There were only 2 hours for lunch. Su Yun was playing with a calculator in his hand while carefully observing the customers who were sipping the poria and mung bean soup. Among these people, there were old men, young employees, and some were dressed like students. At this moment, a young man in a checkered shirt walked into the medicinal cuisine house. The young man had a sloppy face, and his skin was as white and tender as a woman's. He was followed closely by 2 burly lackeys. Su Yun knew that the main character of this drama had appeared. The young man in the checkered shirt looked at the customers first, and then looked at Su Yun, who was standing at the front desk with a faint smile. "Yo, boss, your business is really booming. There is no place to sit even if I want to eat." Su Yun chuckled. "Don't hold back if you have something to say. Otherwise you will get sick from holding it in. Go ahead." "Okay, you are quite aggressive." The young man sneered disdainfully. "Today, you better remember that my name is Wang Tianguang. Wang Xuanqi of the 4th Wolf Gang is my uncle. If you offend my uncle, it is equivalent to offending me, Wang Tianguang. Do you understand? Su Yun was a little helpless. The fourth wolf gang was really haunting him. It seemed that this group of bastards really wanted to be destroyed. Today, the old and young men have worked hard. Take the money and leave. Wang Tianguang waved his hand, and the customers who wanted to drink the mung bean soup stood up one by one. The underlings behind Wang Tianguang quickly took out the money to pay each person 100 yuan. Wang Tianguang looked at Su Yun proudly. Kid, my uncle thinks highly of you because he is old, and his temper is King bad. But I don't have that much patience. Don't you want to play? I will play you to death. Get lost. Su Yun spat out 2 words. He really didn't understand the meaning of this guy's actions. He paid a few thousand yuan just to let people come here and drink a pot of mung bean soup that cost very little? He was really afraid that he would be infected by this kind of retard. Wang Tianguang was furious on the spot and cursed recklessly. Do you believe that I will destroy your restaurant today? Su Yun wasn't a very patient person. Just as he was about to teach this idiot who didn't know how to spell the word die, a woman pushed the door open and walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The fairy-like woman's long hair fluttered in the wind. She was wearing a tight black t-shirt, and her proud bosom showed a perfect half-arc. Her lower body was also wearing tight and elastic black pants. Her pair of perfectly round legs would definitely make any man dumbfounded. Who else could it be if not Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun? I have thought about it. I will be a waitress here today. Cho Yun went straight to the point without any hesitation. Su Yun smiled slightly. It seemed that Cho Yun had really thought it through this time. The injured Cho Yun could only barely protect herself when facing a second-rate master alone, let alone protect Guagua. However, it was different if she followed Su Yun. Not only could there be someone to help her fight against a strong enemy, but she also had the 9 treasures revival pill to eat. Moreover, Su Yun's medical skills were superb. Perhaps he could cure her internal injuries. Wang Tianguang, who was looking for trouble, couldn't allow others to interrupt him. He immediately vented all the anger that had accumulated just now. Are you blind? Can't you see that I am talking here? Get lost. Su Yun couldn't help but feel happy. This guy could provoke anyone, but he had to provoke the down-and-out Violent Fox Venerable. It was like using a lantern to go to the toilet, looking for shit, death. Cho Yun frowned. A cold light flashed in the corner of her eyes. She said coldly, What did you say? I told you to get lost. Only then did Wang Tianguang turn his head. It didn't matter when he turned his head, but he didn't expect that the waitress who applied for the waitress position was actually such a pretty little beauty. Suddenly, his lust was aroused, and he teased her. Little bitch, you're quite pretty. Humph, are you interested in being my woman? I am known as Silver Spear Little Tyrant. Quang. Without waiting for Wang Tianguang to finish his words, Cho Yun suddenly used a simple and domineering high whip kick on the back of Wang Tianguang's head. Chapter 20. After a loud crash, the glass counter was smashed into pieces by Wang Tianguang's face. But no matter how broken the glass was, it was not as broken as Wang Tianguang's twisted bloody face. That face was too horrible to look at. His eyes were cracked, black pearls were popping out, blood was gushing out, and his nose was crooked. Wang Tianguang's mind was filled with the sound of gongs and drums. He only knew that his vision turned black, and he did not know anything else. Beautiful. Instant kill in one move. Su Yun waved his hand at the 2 dumbfounded underlings. Why aren't you sending him to the hospital? Don't let him die here. It's bad luck. Seeing that Wang Tianguang was crippled, the 2 underlings' legs were trembling, and the ice beauty had a cold look on her face. She was emitting a threatening chill from head to toe. What else did they dare to say? The 2 of them quickly dragged Wang Tianguang to the hospital. It would be troublesome if he really died. Uncle, she would definitely blame the 2 of them. Su Yun saw the 2 of them walk away and smiled at Cho Yun. Have you really thought it through? The monthly salary is only 1,000 yuan. You don't think it's too little, right? Although Cho Yen did not pay attention to Su Yun, at least the way she looked at him was not as cold as before. How could she come here for money? Protecting Guagua's safety was her only goal now. You can't be a good waitress if you don't like to talk. Su Yun asked for a snub. At this time, the three beauties who were shopping finally came back. Dad, look at Mom and Sister Wan. Aren't they beautiful? Guagua shouted excitedly before she entered the door. When Guagua pushed open the door and entered, she was instantly stunned. Her mouth twitched slightly and her eyes turned red. All the grievances, fear, and apprehension from half a month ago poured out in torrents. With a cry, she threw herself at Cho Yen. Woo-woo, sister. Woo-woo. Where did you go? When Cho Yun saw Guagua's aggrieved look, her cold heart instantly melted into a pool of soft water. She stepped forward and hugged the crying Guagua. She muttered to herself, Guagua, don't blame me. I abandoned you because of you. Guagua, don't blame me. I will never abandon you again. Never. Woo-woo. Guagua could no longer hold back her fear and worry for Cho Yun for the past 10 days. She burst into tears. Sister is bad. Do you know how worried Guagua was when I couldn't find you? Woo-woo. Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan, who came in later, were completely confused. What had happened? The two women could only cast their gazes on Su Yun, curiously waiting for Su Yun's explanation. I think we should wait for Guagua to explain herself. Su Yun did not know how to express himself. He could only shrug his shoulders. Cho Yun, you take Guagua upstairs first. Cho Yun nodded and said nothing. She picked up Guagua, who was crying, and went upstairs. Looking at the mysterious woman, Qin Wan could not help but frown. She looked at Ruan Qingxuang and asked, Sister Qingxuang, who is she? I don't know. Doesn't Guagua call her sister? Ruan Qingxuang shook her head. She believed that this woman must be related to Guagua. She always thought that Guagua was an orphan. She did not expect that she had other relatives. You don't know who your daughter's sister is? Qin Wan was speechless again. What kind of logic was this? Su Yun whistled at Qin Wan. Qin Wan, your new skirt is really short. What are you doing? Are you going to be a plainclothes policeman on the bus? Are you going to take risks to catch a pervert? I will catch a pervert like you first. If you look at me again, I will gouge your eyeballs out. Qin Wan stared at Su Yun, and her attention was quickly diverted. Although Ruan Qingxuang was worried about Guagua upstairs, she saw that Su Yun's eyes were calm, so she believed that the woman named Cho Yun would never hurt Guagua. There was only a strange feeling of depression in her heart. In fact, she was just worried that the woman would take Guagua away. Although Guagua was not her biological child, and the time they spent together was not long, Ruan Qingxuang did not know why, but she really treated Guagua as her own daughter. Because when Ruan Qingxuang picked up Guagua, Guagua was just like when she first came to Hadong. She was just as lonely, as helpless, and as pitiful as when no one was willing to help her. Ruan Qingxuang was really scared. She was afraid that without Guagua, what would happen to her? Would she return to the loneliness of the past? Ruan Qingxuang had been enduring that kind of loneliness when she left her hometown and came to Hadong City. It was Guagua who brought her a new life. She had begun to rely on Guagua. If Guagua really wanted to leave, she did not know how to accept the reality. Sister Qingxuang? Qin Weiner stretched out her hand and waved in front of Ruan Qingxuang. Ruan Qingxuang suddenly came back to her senses. What's wrong? I'll go back to the police station first. The director just called me. Qin Weiner said, yesterday, the people of the Fourth Wolf Gang refused to pay the 30,000 yuan. I don't know if they will change their mind this time. Don't worry, I will definitely help you get the money back. Weiner, thank you. Ruan Qingxuang was also grateful to Qin Weiner. Su Yun did not think so. She is a policewoman, so she should serve the people. Otherwise, why do we pay taxes to support them? Qin Weiner rolled her eyes at Su Yun. This guy talked as if he had a grudge against the police. She really did not know if there was a policewoman who mistook him for a prostitute before. After Qin Weiner left, Ruan Qingxuang wanted to ask Su Yun several times who the woman was, but Su Yun avoided it with a smile. When the time is right, they will naturally tell you. I can't explain it to them clearly. Then Guagua, will she leave? Ruan Qingxuang's heart skipped a beat when she said this, and her eyes were slightly red. At this time, Cho Yun appeared at the corner of the stairs with Guagua in her arms. There were no tears on Guagua's face. Although her eyes were still red, she had a bright smile on her face. Of course, Guagua won't leave Mom. Ruan Qingxuang quickly turned her head and looked at Guagua gently. Her tender eyes even affected Cho Yun. Cho Yun, who had always been wary of everyone, had to admit that the woman in front of her loved Guagua very much. Guagua jumped out of Cho Yun's arms and plunged into Ruan Qingxuang's arms. Mom, this is Cho Yun, the person who has been the best to Guagua since she was a child. What about me? Ruan Qingxuang heard Guagua's words and was a little jealous. Mom has been the person who has been the best to Guagua since 15 days ago. Guagua's mouth was like smeared with honey. If it wasn't for Mom, Guagua wouldn't have been able to live long ago. It was Mom who gave Guagua a second life. Mom is the person who Guagua loves the most. The words of the naughty child who was less than 7 years old moved Ruan Qingxuang to tears. Su Yun smiled bitterly. What kind of show was this? Didn't this girl always take the comedic route? Why did she suddenly play a sad drama and stir up emotions? He really couldn't stand it. Dad, so you knew Cho Yun long ago. Why didn't you tell me? Guagua said angrily. Su Yun was wronged. It was Cho Yun who was hiding from you. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it. Humph, you can only choose between Cho Yun and Mom. Don't think about having a foot in two boats. Guagua didn't give Su Yun a chance to explain at all. She directly concluded, Dad must want to be both dad and brother-in-law. It's too difficult for me to call you that. F***ck. Su Yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall and die. Guagua didn't continue to dwell on this issue. She ran to the front desk and took out the account book. Seeing that nothing was recorded in it, Guagua was a little surprised. Dad, why didn't you record it? Do you remember how much you sold in your head? I sold a big pot of mung bean soup for free. Su Yun shrugged and said helplessly. What do you mean? Ruan Qingxuang couldn't help but ask curiously. Su Yun was afraid that Ruan Qingxuang would be worried and didn't want to explain more. Cho Yun said coldly, a villain cheated. Haha. Su Yun could only laugh and pinch Guagua's little face, but it has been settled by your Cho Yun sister. Guagua pouted her little mouth. When she thought that she didn't make any money at noon, her little face flushed with anger. It must be that bad guy from the wolf dog gang again. Guagua, they won't come to make trouble in the future. I'm here. I will never let Guagua be wronged again. Cho Yun's eyes showed a trace of apology and love. Okay. Guagua nodded and ran to Ruan Qingxuang happily. Mom, let's leave Sister Cho Yun as a waitress in the shop. Hee, this way we won't have to be separated. Ruan Qingxuang was of course willing. The shop was originally short of staff. It was better to have one of their own than an outsider. Cho Yun, I don't know what you mean? Okay. Cho Yun nodded. She didn't talk much to anyone. Even if she was infinitely grateful to Ruan Qingxuang, it was difficult for her to say such pretentious words. Ruan Qingxuang smiled slightly. Then I'll trouble you in the future. She could see that Cho Yun was a person who didn't like to talk very much. Su Yun saw a trace of pain in Cho Yun's eyes. Perhaps what happened last night stimulated her internal injury, but she still insisted on standing in front of Guagua and didn't show any signs of injury. Guagua, why don't you hurry to prepare a room for your sister? Su Yun reminded. Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua suddenly understood. Ruan Qingxuang pulled Guagua up and said, Let's go. Let's tidy up Sister Cho Yun's room beautifully, okay? Okay. Guagua took the lead and ran upstairs. He would provide food, accommodation, and treatment. These words were said by Su Yun. Of course, he couldn't go back on his words. How many more days do you think you can hold on? Su Yun's expression was quite relaxed. Cho Yun sneered self-deprecatingly, if it weren't for your 9 treasures resurrection pill, I'm afraid I would be a dead person now. You can take it easy. Su Yun admired her spirit of not being afraid of death. So what if I can't take it easy? Cho Yun's face still had a trace of self-deprecation. Su Yun, I rarely trust others since I was a child, but I choose to believe in you. I believe that after I die, you will definitely help me take care of Guagua. Su Yun hurriedly waved his hand. No, no, no. If you want to die, don't appear. You want to die after seeing Guagua? Can you die in peace? Cho Yun lowered her head. After a long time, she slowly raised it. There was no expression on her face. I don't want to die. Then listen to me obediently. Although we are not Bien Ke and Hua Tuo, we are not inferior to them. Su Yun smiled, but I'm afraid that you won't cooperate. Chapter 21. Of course, Su Yun knew that the violent Fox Venerable was not afraid of death. What she was afraid of was who would take care of Guagua if she died. Haha, he didn't expect that the little princess of Feng Qiansui's family was so charming that even Cho Yun could forget himself for her. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua also came downstairs. Although Ruan Qingxuang felt that Cho Yun was not approachable, she still said kindly, "The room is ready." Cho Yun, you don't look good. Why don't you go upstairs and have a rest? Thank you. Cho Yun could say these 2 words, which meant that she was extremely grateful to Feng Qiansui. Cho Yun went upstairs to have a rest. Guagua surrounded Su Yun and asked him all kinds of questions. Su Yun just answered perfunctorily. Guagua couldn't understand him if he said too much. On the contrary, Guagua didn't worry too much. Ruan Qingxuang also roughly understood the situation. Guagua's family had some unclear things. Cho Yun took her out and then accidentally lost her. However, Su Yun didn't tell her the details. Before lunch, Qin Wan returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant excitedly. As soon as she entered the restaurant, she took out 30,000 yuan from her pocket and put it in front of Guagua at the front desk. Wow! Guagua's eyes were shining. Sister Wan, did you win the lottery? Well, if you think so, I don't mind. Qin Wan smiled and quickly pulled Ruan Qingxuang to her side. Sister Qingxuang, today the 4th Wolf Gang bailed out their people again. They were very obedient and spat out the money that they extorted from you. Ruan Qingxuang was surprised. She didn't expect to get back the 20,000 yuan that LV Bao and the 4th Wolf Gang had extorted. Now, not only did he get it back, he even got an extra 10,000 yuan. Guagua didn't hold back. The extra 10,000 yuan could be used as interest. Since you are here, don't be so courteous. Come in and help me prepare the dishes. Su Yun really didn't treat Qin Wan as an outsider. Qin Wan was willing to accept her loss. She rolled her eyes at Su Yun and said, "It's just a side dish. What's so great about it?" At this time, Cho Yun also came down from upstairs. Qin Wan heard the sound and looked at the stairs. She was slightly shocked. Perhaps it was because assassins and police officers were born with a strong 6th sense that conflicted with each other, so when the 2 of them looked into each other's eyes, there was a slight pause. When the 2 met in the afternoon, they didn't notice each other because Guagua was there. However, things were different now. Cough. Why are you in a daze? If Sister Shuang doesn't say anything, are you 2 not going to work? Su Yun coughed to resolve the 2's doubts. Those who are supposed to serve the dishes, serve the dishes. Those who are supposed to wash the vegetables, wash the vegetables. As soon as Su Yun's voice fell, 2 male and 2 female customers walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Guagua also quickly went to the front desk and prepared to make money. Cho Yun and Qin Wan didn't bother each other anymore. They both went to do their own things. Guagua, who is Qin Wan? Cho Yun casually asked during their free time. Guagua said proudly, Sister Wan is a police officer. Guagua knows her, so I won't be afraid of those bad guys looking for trouble in the future. Police. Cho Yun couldn't help but be a little more vigilant against Qin Wan. As a person from the underworld, of course, she was quite resistant to the police. Her dislike of the police was definitely not less than Su Yun's. The medicinal cuisine restaurant's business was booming. After tonight, word of mouth spread even more. The chef was comparable to the imperial chef, needless to say. The lady boss, Ruan Qingshuang, had light eyebrows like autumn water. Her jade-like skin was accompanied by a light breeze. She was beautiful and intelligent. The waitress, Cho Yun, also had snow-white skin. Her nose was like a virgin. Her beauty was peerless. The handyman, Qin Wan had soft hands and white skin. She was sweet and dignified. The cashier at the front desk, Guagua, was smart and clever. She was silly and lovable. She was pretty and charming. How could this restaurant not be popular? The four beauties, sweet, handsome, elegant, and gorgeous, gathered in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The one who enjoyed the most was the chef who was busy cooking. The people of the Fourth Wolf Gang probably finally understood the reason why Su Yun would rather stay here than to fight for the world with them. The medicinal cuisine restaurant's customers exploded for the whole night. Some people even ordered so that Ruan Qingshuang or Cho Yun, who was in charge of serving the dishes, could come closer to them. Su Yun was thinking, if these guys knew that Cho Yun was a demoness who killed people without batting an eyelid, would they still dare to eat the food she served? Qin Wan's arms were tired and sore. She regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. If she had known, she would not have made this kind of bet with Su Yun. Su Yun was a lot more relaxed. He just needed to weigh the big spoon twice. All the work was given to Qin Wan. He did not have any intention to be gentle with her. It could not be helped. Who asked Qin Wan to be a police officer? Hey, Su Yun, what does Guagua's sister do? Qin Wan always felt that Cho Yun had a strange aura. Ugh. Su Yun could not tell the truth, so he could only make it up. I heard that she used to be a stewardess. How is she? Is she pretty? Qin Wan nodded doubtfully. She is pretty, but I always feel that she has a different feeling from others. I feel cold when I see her. It's lonely at the top. Stewardesses are all like this. Su Yun was good at explaining. Their conversation naturally could not escape from Cho Yun's ears. Fortunately, Qin Wan did not say anything else. Otherwise, if the two of them quarreled, Su Yun really did not know how to be a peacemaker. The refrigerator in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was finally empty. Now, it was finally time to close. Guagua's eyes were red as she counted the money. The turnover in one night was more than 10,000 yuan. For a small restaurant like Ruan Qingshuang, it was simply shocking. Shouldn't we celebrate? Qin Wan had never had such an experience. Of course, she was excited after the success. How about I go and buy some beer? But I can't drink. Ruan Qingshuang was stunned. She wanted to celebrate, but drinking was really not her strong point. Cho Yun was still silent. She had already learned from Guagua that Ruan Qingshuang was a police officer, so she was not interested in her and Qin Wan. She directly got up and went upstairs. Qin Wan did not care. Anyway, she did not like the cold feeling of Cho Yun. Guagua saw Cho Yun go upstairs and shook her little head. Sister Wan, I want to drink beer with you, but I am still young. What if I become an alcoholic? By then, ordinary people would not dare to marry Guagua. He. Qin Wan laughed helplessly and said, I definitely believe that the person who dares to marry you is definitely not an ordinary person. Ruan Qingshuang heard it and couldn't help but sigh. Guagua was such an evil little thing. She really did not know which family's young man would be able to control her in the future. In the end, Qin Wan could only look at Su Yun with expectation. He should be the only person who would support her drinking beer to celebrate. That. After drinking, I am still an innocent little boy. Who will be responsible if something happens? As Su Yun spoke, he pulled the collar of his singlet up a little. His expression was so nervous that it was as if he had been violated. Qin Wan was completely speechless. Who wants to drink with you? You wish. Even if something happens, no one will ask you to be responsible. If you really want a drink, then I will accompany you. Ruan Qingxuang smiled. She did not want to spoil Qin Wan's mood, and she was indeed very happy. Let's not, Sister Qingxuang. Qin Wan rolled her eyes at Su Yun. This guy lives here. I am worried. If something happens, Ruan Qingxuang blushed. It is not a single man and a single woman. There is also Guagua and Cho Yun. Guagua suddenly shook the electronic watch on her wrist. Sister Wan, when we were buying clothes during the day, you said that you were going to work at night. Do you mean that you are going to work at night? Oh no. Qin Wan's face changed. How could she forget that she was on duty? The shift was at 8 o'clock. It was already past 9 o'clock. I have to go quickly. I am on duty today. Goodbye. Ruan Qingxuang only remembered it after hearing Guagua's words. She looked at Qin Wan with embarrassment. If it were not for her help, she would not be late. Wan, take care on the road. Be careful. Okay. Qin Wan did not say anything more. She quickly went out and rode away. Seeing that Qin Wan had left, Su Yun yawned. He got up and said, I am a little tired. I will go upstairs and rest for a while. Okay, then you should rest early. Ruan Qingxuang nodded. These days, Su Yun had worked hard. Su Yun did not go upstairs to rest. He saw that Cho Yun's face was a little pale when she left. Su Yun was worried that her internal injury would continue. Even if his master came, it would be in vain. Knock, knock, knock. Cho Yun heard the knock on the door. She asked vigilantly, Who is it? Su Yun did not answer. He directly opened the door and entered the room. He knew Cho Yun's character. It was useless to talk to her. The best way to get close to her was to use actions to make her believe. Now you have two options. Su Yun closed Cho Yun's door and took out a small bottle from his pocket. The first option is to take the medicine. I still have 7-9 treasures revival pills. It is not difficult to extend your life for a month. But after a month, even the gods can't save you. 7-9 treasures revival pills? Cho Yun's jaw almost dropped. The price of this kind of precious medicine in the underground black market was more than 1,000,000 yuan. And it was not something that could be bought with money. When Feng Qiansui unified Suong, he only had 5 or 6 pills. But this slovenly dressed guy in front of her actually took out 7 pills at once. Including the one he had given her before, that was a total of 8 pills. Whoosh! Cho Yen couldn't help but gasp. This guy was definitely not as simple as she thought. He could talk and laugh in front of a second-rate master like Mountain Cat and take out so many precious medicines and treasures at once. Who the hell was this guy? Su Yun did not care about Cho Yun's surprise. He continued, the second option, trust me. I can't guarantee that your internal injury will be completely removed now, but you will definitely recover after a long period of recuperation. Cho Yun was silent for a while. Her lips curled into a light smile. Okay, I believe you. As Su Yun spoke, an exquisite silver box appeared in his hand. It was filled with 108 silver needles. The opponent's background is not small. He can actually use his internal strength to injure your violent fox venerable 8 extraordinary meridians. He is not a simple person. Humph. Cho Yun narrowed her eyes. She was not afraid of one-on-one, but she had no chance of winning against 2 first-rate masters. Chapter 22. Cho Yun's expression suddenly changed. She raised her head and glared at Su Yun. If she wasn't suffering from internal injuries, she would have killed anyone who dared to talk to her like that. Su Yun understood Cho Yun's cold gaze. He shrugged his shoulders and said, Listen to me if you want to live. I don't have the ability to perform acupuncture through clothes. Every acupuncture point in the 8 extraordinary meridians is very important. It's fine if you don't take them off, but don't blame me if I make a mistake. Although Cho Yun didn't know much about medicine, she knew how important the 8 extraordinary meridians were to people who practiced martial arts. Moreover, she was a first-class expert who had opened all the basic meridians in her body, so she understood the importance and fear of this point. Especially the Ran and Du meridians. If he made a mistake, he would lose all his martial arts. In the worst case, he would die or become a vegetable. Su Yun took back the silver needles and said, "Forget it. Since you don't want to, I won't force you. In a while, you can take a look at the Yutong, Tanzhong, and Zhongting acupuncture points on your chest. If I'm not wrong, these acupuncture points have turned dark purple. The Dazhui, Lingtai, and Mingmen acupuncture points on your Du meridian are probably more serious." Cho Yun clenched her teeth. How could she bear to show her pure body to a man? Unless she killed him after he performed acupuncture on her. If it was before, Cho Yun would definitely do such a thing. But now, she really couldn't do it to Su Yun. Life and death are not up to the heavens. It's up to you. Su Yun didn't hesitate. He put away the silver needles and gave all 7 treasures revival pills to Cho Yun. "Don't worry, I'll take good care of Guagua." Su Yun walked out of Cho Yun's room. At this time, he followed Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua upstairs and bumped into them. "Dad, why did you go to Cho Yun's room?" Guagua asked cautiously. "You already have a mother, so don't be so fickle. And according to seniority, she's also your daughter. You have to pay attention to the ethical relationship." "What the hell are you doing, Leonard?" Su Yun almost vomited blood. How could a daughter be the same age as her father? "I'm sending some medicine to your sister. Your sister doesn't seem to be feeling well." Su Yun was speechless. The awkwardness on Ruan Qingxuang's face turned into worry. She pulled Su Yun over and whispered, "Su Yun, why didn't you tell me that a girl is feeling unwell? It's better for me to step forward than for you to step forward." Su Yun scratched his head. "It's appropriate for you to do it, but you don't know how to apply acupuncture." Could it be that she misunderstood and thought that Cho Yun was on her period? However, Guagua's next words made Su Yun and Ruan Qingxuang almost fall down. "Sigh, women will always have a few days every month when they feel unwell." Guagua sighed with a sympathetic expression. F***ck. How old are you? What do you know? Su Yun really wondered how mature Guagua's mental age was. "Let's go, Guagua. Mom will take you to take a bath." Ruan Qingxuang really couldn't do anything about Guagua. She could only drag her away. Now that there are more people staying in the shop, Guagua can't take a bath any longer. After Ruan Qingxuang took Guagua away, Su Yun also returned to his room. Cho Yun heard that there was no sound outside. She also let out a long sigh of relief. She gathered her courage and stood in front of the mirror. She slowly took off her clothes. The mirror reflected Cho Yun's graceful figure. Her white jade-like skin made people unable to believe that she was an assassin. Cho Yun clearly saw through the mirror that her chest's Yutong, Tanzhong, Zhongting, Juk, and Shenkei acupuncture points on her abdomen were all dark purple. She couldn't help but tremble. Su Yun was right. Her internal injury had reached a point where it couldn't be treated. If it was delayed, she was afraid that only death would await her. But no matter what, Su Yun was still a man. Cho Yun couldn't convince herself to let a man look at her body no matter what. Even if he was a doctor with the heart of a parent, with the purpose of practicing medicine and doing good deeds, he would still look. And if the main target of acupuncture was the 8 extra meridians, it meant that the governing vessel, Ran vessel, Chong vessel, Dai vessel, Yongwei vessel, Yinwei vessel, Yinqiao vessel, Yongwei vessel, Yinwei vessel, Yinqiao vessel, Yongwei vessel. That meant that there was no privacy left in her body. However, if she didn't perform acupuncture, she wouldn't be able to protect Guagua after a month. Guagua. This was Cho Yun's Achilles heel. Cho Yun finally made the final decision. For Guagua, she could even die. Why would she be afraid of letting a man look at her body? For Guagua, for the sake of Feng Qiansui's trust, this little humiliation was nothing. Thinking of this, Chou Yun put on her clothes and pushed open the door. She directly pushed open the door of Su Yun's room next door. Su Yun seemed to have already expected that she would come to his room. Have you thought about it? Yes. Chou Yun tried to calm her breathing as much as possible. In fact, it's nothing. The acupuncture is mainly aimed at a few important acupuncture points of the Ran and Du meridians. I also saw. Ugh. It's nothing. Su Yun wanted to say that he didn't see much, but thinking that Chou Yun's character was really not suitable for joking, he swallowed his words. This was somewhat beyond Chou Yun's expectation. Only acupuncture on the Ran and Du meridians? Yes. Su Yun nodded. Then I will do the acupuncture on the Ran and Du meridians in front of my chest. You are only responsible for the Du meridians in the back. Chou Yun seemed to have found a way to make herself accept it. She only let Su Yun look at her back. Although it was awkward, she could still accept it. At least she didn't have to face a man with her chest exposed. Su Yun was stunned. He was afraid that he wouldn't have the chance to see the proud twin peaks of the violent fox venerable. You know acupuncture? I know a little. Chou Yun said. She would rather take some risks than let Su Yun see everything. Su Yun smiled. That's fine. I don't think you will joke about your own life. Just do what I say. Okay. Chou Yun gritted her teeth. She had completely endured the torture of her internal injuries. Take off your clothes. Su Yun walked behind Chou Yun. You only need to take 7 silver needles and insert them into the acupuncture points according to my instructions. Remember, don't forget the order and position. Chou Yun nodded. Her face was cold. She no longer hesitated. She took off her top and undid her underwear without hesitation. The whole room was instantly filled with a special atmosphere. Su Yun even held his breath. He had never seen a woman's body. Chou Yun's graceful back gave him endless fanciful thoughts. Her white jade-like skin was so tender that it seemed like water could be squeezed out with a pinch. Gulp. Su Yun couldn't help but salivate. Chou Yun's cold voice sounded. Have you seen enough? Victoria's Secret? This underwear is quite expensive, right? Su Yun quickly withdrew his gaze and touched his chin to change the topic. Su Yun, if you dare to have any other thoughts, I swear I will make your head fall to the ground. When Chou Yen heard that this guy actually cared about her underwear brand at such a critical moment, of course, she was furious. Su Yun took a deep breath. Fine, let's talk about acupuncture only, not underwear. Dad, is Sister Chou Yun in your room? Following Guagua's inquiry, Su Yun's room door was opened with a creak. Guagua walked in without thinking. Her hair was still wet from washing. Whoosh. The whole room was dead silent. Chou Yun didn't care about healing her injuries. She directly put on her clothes, then picked up Guagua and walked back to her room. No one spoke during the whole process. Su Yun had never encountered such an awkward situation. Who knew if Guagua would exaggerate in front of RuanQingshuang? Alas, Guagua, oh Guagua, Godfather's reputation depends on whether you can control that mouth of yours. Chou Yun could only blame herself for being too careless. How could she forget to lock the door when she entered Su Yun's room just now? In the future, it seemed that acupuncture treatment must be done in the middle of the night when everyone was asleep. Otherwise, she would encounter an awkward situation at any time. Sister Chou Yun, why did Dad take off your clothes? Could it be that the two of you are going to? Guagua's expression was quite incredulous. In her world, Chou Yan's existence was like an iceberg. She had never even seen her speak to a man before. Not to mention taking off her clothes in front of a man. Although Chou Yun was a violent fox master, in front of Guagua, she was a gentle sister. Guagua, you can't talk nonsense. Just now, I just wanted him to help me heal. I didn't mean anything else. Guagua nodded as if she understood. Just like Zhang Chuishan took off Yin Susu's clothes to heal, Yang Xiao took off Ji Xiaofu's clothes to heal, and Zhang Wuji took off Zhao Min's clothes to heal. As she spoke, Guagua shook her head helplessly. Alas, what's wrong with those heroes? Is Dad like them? Can't he heal without taking off a girl's clothes? My injury needs acupuncture, and I have to take off my clothes. Cho Yun really didn't know whether the current TV series helped or hurt her. Guagua, in short, the matter of Su Yun healing my sister, you can't tell anyone, okay? Then Cho Yen said nervously, especially, you can't tell Mother Wan. Guagua nodded and agreed. Of course, Mom will be jealous if she knows. Cho Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then, since we have agreed, we must keep it a secret. Guagua's small eyes rolled. But next time when you ask Dad to heal you, you must call Guagua. Guagua is worried that my sister will be taken advantage of. Sweat, who would have the nerve to let others watch this kind of thing? Even if Guagua was a child, Cho Yun was also awkward. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang also came out of the shower and shouted, Guagua, where did you go? Sister Cho Yun, I'm leaving. Mom hasn't finished yesterday's story yet. Guagua stuck out her tongue, opened the door and ran out. Mom, I went to play with Sister Cho Yun for a while. In the room, Su Yun's ears were almost stretched out. He was really afraid that Guagua would say something shocking, but fortunately, Guagua didn't mention a word about what happened just now. Although Su Yun was a doctor with the heart of a parent, if this kind of thing was not explained clearly, it would be easy to cause misunderstandings. His reputation could not be ruined by such a small thing. Chapter 23. In the dead of the night, Su Yun once again heard Cho Yun knocking on the door. He was now very sure that Cho Yun wanted to live. Now there's no one to disturb us. Su Yun opened the door and revealed a smile. Cho Yun didn't say much and returned to her original seat. She decisively took off her top and took out 7 silver needles from the silver box. Let's begin. Although this was the second time Su Yun saw Cho Yun's smooth and white back, he still took a few deep breaths to suppress the evil in his mind. Although Su Yun wasn't a pervert, he was definitely not a gentleman who could remain calm. Your internal injury isn't something that just happened in a day or two. You might feel uncomfortable, so you have to be prepared. Cho Yun nodded. For Guagua, there was nothing that Cho Yun couldn't handle. Su Yun didn't waste any more time and took out a silver needle from his right index and middle finger. A surge of internal energy rose in his dantian and directly forced it to his 2 fingers. Su Yun turned his wrist and directly pierced the silver needle into Cho Yun's back. A warm current flowed through the needle and into Cho Yun's acupuncture point. Cho Yun instantly felt relaxed. The blood clot in her heart and lungs was slowly dissolved by the warm internal energy. Su Yun pinched the needle with his thumb and index finger and gently twirled it as he said, "Try to adjust your breathing. Prepare the silver needle in your hand. When I count to 3, take the silver needle and pierce it into the Yutong acupuncture point in the middle of your chest." Cho Yun didn't say anything and tried to adjust her breathing rhythm. She raised the silver needle in her hand to indicate that she was ready. Su Yun's hand flashed and took out the second silver needle. 1, 2, 3. As soon as they finished speaking, the 2 of them simultaneously pierced their needles into Cho Yun's Ran Meridian Yutong acupoint on her chest and Du Meridian Ling Tai acupoint on her back. Cho Yun only felt a refreshing feeling in her body, as if all the impurities in her body had been expelled through the acupuncture points. That kind of comfort was something she had never felt since she was injured. With the perfect cooperation this time, Su Yun was relieved to let Cho Yun perform the acupuncture on his chest. Then, the 2 of them inserted the silver needles into the Ran and Du meridians. Every time, Su Yun secretly transferred his inner strength through the silver needles, Cho Yun would feel more relaxed. Finally, Su Yun pierced the last silver needle that contained his internal energy into Cho Yun's Mingmen acupoint at the back of Cho Yun's waist. When he saw that the acupoint at the back of Cho Yun's body had a dark purple color, he knew that the silver needle was very effective in removing blood clots. Phew! Su-yun finally let out a long sigh of relief. Just when Cho-yun felt a wave of comfort in her meridians, she suddenly frowned. A weak sound came from the roof and 2 light footsteps landed on the ground. The sound was so weak that it was almost impossible to hear it with one's ears. Calm your heart and follow the relaxation of your meridians. Breathe in and out and adjust your meridians. Leave the 2 rats outside to me. Su-yun raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a sinister smile. Unexpectedly, those people's speed was quite fast. After 1 was killed, 2 more came. Now was not the time for Cho-yun to let her emotions affect her decisions. She could only calm her heart and adjust her meridians. Otherwise, it would be easy for her to receive a more serious backlash. As for the other things, she could only leave them to Su-yun. Su-yun wore flip-flops and did not take the usual route. He jumped out of the window again. The whole process was smooth and without any hesitation. Luckily, Cho-yun can't fight today. Otherwise, the roof would become a slaughterhouse. Su-yun cursed in his heart. The 2 people on the roof stopped. A low voice said, "Gong-yu, I found the locator left by Mountain Cat." "It seems that Mountain Cat is in trouble," the other voice said cautiously. "Violent Fox Venerable is indeed a violent Fox Venerable. Even with such a serious injury, she can still escape from Mountain Cat's pursuit. Chin-hu, the 2 of us must be careful." "Humph." The low voice was slightly disdainful. "Gong-yu, you think too highly of Cho-yun. If Mountain Cat is really in trouble, it must be Cho-yun's luck. She has such a serious internal injury. I'm afraid that we don't have to do anything. She should be dying soon, right? What kind of threat can a dying person pose to us?" Cough. Suddenly, there was a light cough. The 2 people on the roof broke out in cold sweat. They were murderous and quickly went into alert mode. "Goshawk Gong-yu, Devil Beast Chin-hu." Yun smiled and walked in front of the 2. "The 2 of you are famous in the underground world. Why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night?" Gong-yu narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him cautiously. This guy could quietly approach the 2 of them and know that they were from the underground world. This meant that he was not an ordinary person. "May I ask who you are? Why are you eavesdropping on our conversation?" Gong-yu's eyes flashed with cruelty. Su-yun knew that only a bloodthirsty person would have such cruelty. "Su-yun." Su-yun narrowed his eyes slightly. His whole body was filled with a strong desire to fight. He quickly went into battle mode. "Have you heard of me? Gong-yu, why are you talking to this nobody?" Chin-hu was impulsive. His eyes flashed with coldness and murderous intent. "Don't be rash," Gong-yu said sternly. He was not in a hurry to attack. Gong-yu had already determined that Su-yun was not weaker than the 2 of them. Now that Mountain Cat's life was unknown, it must be related to this person. After all, Violent Fox Venerable was half a cripple. Mountain Cat might have been killed by this person. Su-yun smiled. "Are you looking for the person from yesterday? Don't waste your time. That person was killed by Cho-yun." Gong-yu and Chin, whose murderous intent exploded. Gong-yu's eyes flashed with cruelty. "You really know Violent Fox Venerable?" "Humph, where is she?" Su-yun raised his eyebrows. "I do know where Cho-yun is, but what if I don't want to tell you?" "Goshawk. This guy is obviously here to pick a fight. Let's kill him first and find Cho-yun, that be *tch. Chin, who glared at Su-yun angrily and said through gritted teeth. After all, he had a good relationship with Mountain Cat. Now that he was sure that Mountain Cat was dead, he was naturally very unhappy. Su-yun did not expect the other party to be so ruthless. They sent out 2 quasi-second-rate masters at once. Even if Cho-yun did not have any internal injuries, it would be very difficult for her to deal with 2 masters at the peak of second-rate. Gong-yu gradually lost her patience. "Since you don't want to talk, don't blame us for being merciless. I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Chin, who suddenly stepped to the left with his left foot and knelt with his right knee on the ground. His two hands were like tiger claws. His right hand was in front of him and his left hand was in front of his chest. He glared at Su Yun with a pair of angry eyes. What a brilliant move from the awakening of a tiger. Gong Yu also arched her body. Her eyes were fierce. She stepped back with her right foot. Her entire body was almost on the ground. Her long arms were like a mantis's. Su Yun knew that this was not the mantis fist. It was Gong Yu's self-created saber fist, which she relied on to survive. "I'll play with the two of you today." Yun raised his head and laughed coldly. A fierce murderous aura suddenly rose from his ordinary body. A huge ball of murderous aura instantly exploded in the air. It quickly enveloped the entire roof of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Gong Yu and Qin, who instantly felt a chill down their spines. They could not help but frown. Their expressions slowly turned serious. They did not expect the other party's aura to be so terrifying. The murderous aura emanating from his body alone was enough to make a beginner master unbearable. Even the two second-rate masters could not help but feel afraid. They had the thought of stopping in fear. However, Qin, whose murderous aura did not diminish. He would not stop just because of Su Yun's murderous aura. Today, he and Gong Yu came to Hadong with a simple goal. They would either find Mountain Cat or return with Cho Yun's body. Even if someone came out of nowhere, Qin who would still kill him. Kill. Gong Yu was not that careless. He now completely understood why Mountain Cat had died here. There was actually such a powerful person hiding here. Violent Fox Venerable was indeed not simple. He had actually managed to invite such a top-notch master. This was his boss's miscalculation. Su Yun was already prepared. Although it was not easy to fight two second-rate masters alone, what else could he do other than do it himself? He had just used acupuncture to unblock Cho Yun's meridians and cleanse the blood clots in her body. If he asked her to fight now, it would be no different from asking her to die. Right now, Su Yun only hoped that these two people were not that skilled. At the very least, he would be able to defeat them. When Cho Yun recovered, she would be a great help. The moment he thought about it, Qin, who had already taken 3 steps forward. His burly body turned sideways, and he used the momentum to attack with his claws like a hungry tiger. At the same time, Gong Yu did not hesitate and chose to attack at the same time. His body was like an eagle that swooped down to pounce on its prey. When he turned his wrists, 2 sharp, cold glares could be seen. The sharp blades looked incredibly terrifying in the night. Gong Yu knew very well that he and Qin who would only have a chance of winning if they worked together to kill them. Gong Yu quickly swung his short blade at Su Yun's ankle. Qin, whose hands went for Su Yun's chest. The two of them worked together with great familiarity. By the looks of it, they often fought side by side. Su Yun did not dare to be negligent when he faced 2 great masters. His footsteps were quick and nimble. His body moved like a phantom, and he dodged Gong Yu's short blade. Then, he turned sideways to avoid Qin, whose fierce claw. While he dodged their attacks, Su Yun did not stay idle. His right fist suddenly twisted at his waist, and he threw a punch that could not be blocked. Tidal cries struck Qin, whose lower abdomen. That punch was definitely ruthless. Qin, who felt as if his abdomen had been cut by a knife. The 100 threads of hidden force turned into a soft wave of qi that exploded violently in his body. If Su Yun followed up with a punch that could destroy anything, it would be enough to kill Qin Hu. Gong Yu naturally would not give Su Yun that chance. The cold blade in his hand closed in on him without hesitation. Su Yun felt 2 fierce gusts of wind coming at him, and he had no choice but to take 2 steps back. Chapter 24. Wah! Gong Yu did not have time to dodge, and Su Yun's kick landed on her back with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Su Yun landed steadily on the ground and steadied his lower body, but Gong Yu fell to the ground with a thud. Her chest surged, and there was a faint taste of blood in her mouth. Then, she coughed up a mouthful of blood. Qin, who seized the chance to pounce on him like a ferocious tiger. He had practiced Black Tiger steals the heart to perfection, and his target was clear. With a howl of wind, he went straight for Su-yun's heart. Su-yun would not give him such a good chance. Without hesitation, he swung his round iron fist at Chin-Hu's tiger claw. A fist and a claw. When their palms collided, it was as if a volcano had erupted. Even though Chin-Hu's tiger claw was strong and could break steel, there was no way it could withstand Su-yun's powerful chi that could shatter stone. When their palms collided, Chin-Hu screamed in pain and quickly pulled back his tiger claw, which had its fingers broken. At the moment Chin-Hu pulled back his fist in pain, Su-yun bent his left knee, and his right leg suddenly shot out like a cannonball. He kicked Chin-Hu's crotch, and Chin-Hu flipped backward. With a loud thud, he fell on his face. Ow! Chin-Hu's screams tore through the night sky. The pain of his fingers instantly shattering and his bones breaking was excruciating. The pain of his crotch exploding was unbearable, both mentally and physically. Su-yun was able to catch his breath. At the very least, these two people had basically lost their ability to fight. Cho-yun, who was still in Su-yun's room, heard someone screaming. She suddenly opened her sharp eyes and released a long sigh. After adjusting the order of her meridian system, she felt incredibly comfortable. In an instant, Cho-yun had already put on her clothes. She stepped on the edge of the window Su-yun had opened, flipped over, and jumped to the roof. Cho-yun's sudden appearance shocked the three people in the room. So fast. Su-yun was a little surprised. Generally speaking, it was not easy to adjust one's meridians after suffering from internal injuries. However, Cho-yun had only used 3 to 5 minutes. Cho-yun! Even though Chin-Hu was in unbearable pain, he still managed to shout out those 2 words. Su-yun alone was enough to make the 2 of them unable to deal with him. Now that the violent Fox Venerable had suddenly gotten rid of the case, it was likely that the 2 of them would be in grave danger. At this moment, Gong-yu suddenly stood up. He took advantage of the moment when Cho-yun suddenly appeared and interrupted Su-yun's attention. He soared into the air like an eagle spreading its wings, wanting to jump down from the medicinal cuisine restaurant and escape the scene. It wasn't that he was a coward, but he knew that they couldn't beat Su-yun. If the violent Fox Venerable joined the fray, he would be dead for sure. If both of them were to die, it would be better to let Chin-Hu die alone. He had to stay alive and report back to boss. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past, and flip-flops flashed across the night sky like lightning. Gong-yu's body, which had soared into the air, was suddenly hit by the flip-flops. He immediately fell down the stairs in an unbelievable manner. There was a loud crash, and then there was no sound at all. Cho-yun's eyes suddenly turned as cold as ice. The moment she touched her waist, the flexible sword Long Yuan was already in her hand. A cold light flashed in front of Chin-Hu's eyes. He could only see Long Yuan's body, which was like autumn water. The pain of his heart being pierced made him forget everything. After a moment, no matter how hard he tried to breathe, no oxygen entered his lungs. To the magical beast Chin-Hu, the feeling of death was nothing. He just couldn't accept it. Without waiting for Su-yun to stop her, Cho-yun had already jumped down from the roof and headed straight for Gong-yu. Cho-yun didn't have any pity for them. In her eyes, they all deserved to die. How they treated the Fong family that day, she would pay them back sooner or later. Seeing this, Su-yun didn't hesitate. He also jumped down from the roof. He didn't want Cho-yun to turn the area around the medicinal cuisine restaurant into a graveyard. The moment Su-yun jumped down from the roof, he was dumbfounded. F***CK. Why would Chin-won appear downstairs at this time? Don't move. A delicate voice rang through the night sky. Chin-won calmly aimed her gun at Cho-yun. Chin-won was indeed shocked by what had just happened. After receiving the call, she immediately rushed to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. When she stopped the police car, she saw a person falling down from the roof. Before she could understand what had happened, Cho-yun jumped down. Her body was as light as a ghost. Following closely behind Cho-yun was Su-yun, who had already piqued Chin-won's curiosity. What the hell was going on? Was it a movie? It was an action movie. Gong Yu took advantage of the fact that they were stunned. He suppressed his qi and blood, got up, and tried to escape. Su Yun didn't give him the chance. His body flashed and blocked in front of Gong Yu. Suddenly, he raised his leg and kicked Gong Yu's waist. Gong Yu, who was already seriously injured, was hit again. Like a kite with a broken string, he fell down at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He didn't have the strength to get up anymore. Qin Wan stared at Cho Yun with her eyes wide open. The reason was simple. It was because of the soft sword in Cho Yun's hand, Long Yuan. This kind of thing was a controlled knife in Hua Xia. According to the regulations of the Ministry of Public Security, there were legal procedures for controlling the range of knives, production, and sales. Qin Wan only knew that seeing was believing. What she saw was Cho Yun chasing someone down from the roof with a long sword. The person was seriously injured. After Su Yun kicked him, he was on the verge of death. "Put down your weapon," Qin Wan yelled at Cho Yun. Cho Yun looked at Qin Wan coldly. Even if her internal injury hadn't healed, she still didn't care about a police officer and an ordinary gun. Qin Wan couldn't stand Cho Yun's provocation. Qin Wan wouldn't let her off just because Guagua called Cho Yun's sister. "Put it down." "You'd better not get involved in this," Cho Yun said coldly. "I won't do anything to you because of Guagua. You can leave now." "What?" Qin Wan stared at him. "I'm the one who's being polite to you because of Guagua. You'd better put down your weapon and cooperate with the law. Come with me to the police station and explain everything." Su Yun was in a dilemma. There was no way to explain this. Although Qin Wan had big boobs and no brains, she was a merciless and fair police officer in society. Cho Yun was a famous violent foxmaster in the underground world. The two of them weren't from the same world. Cho Yun's eyes flashed with coldness. Su Yun could see that she had a murderous intent in her heart. F***ck. Su Yun stood between the two of them just as Cho Yun was about to make a move. "Qin Wan, you're too unprofessional as a police officer. The one on the ground is the criminal. The two of us acted bravely for a just cause. Don't get the wrong person. Acted bravely for a just cause." Qin Wan wasn't so easily fooled. "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Acting bravely for a just cause and holding a weapon. Do you think you're filming a martial arts drama? If you keep protecting her, I'll arrest you too." Cho Yun was too lazy to talk nonsense with her. At this time, it was best to kill this police officer as well to save trouble. Cho Yun's Long Yuan sword suddenly emitted a chill. She only needed to lightly touch it to kill Qin Wan. At the critical moment, a tender voice came out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. "Sister Wan, you're finally here." "Oh, Dad, what are you and Cho Yun doing?" Guagua's sudden appearance completely changed the atmosphere of the restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang opened the door with a puzzled face while carrying Guagua. She asked 3 questions in one breath. "Su Yun? Cho Yun? You guys? Guagua, did you call the police again?" Su Yun was completely defeated by Guagua. Why was this girl so interested in the police? She would call the police at the slightest sign of trouble. Guagua rubbed her sleepy eyes and nodded seriously. "Safety first. Be careful," Cho Yun suddenly shouted. However, it was too late. Gong Yu, who had been kicked to the door by Su Yun, suddenly stood up and grabbed the sleepy Guagua from Ruan Qingshuang. Ruan Qingshuang was caught off guard. Not only did she fail to protect Guagua, but she was also pushed to the ground by Gong Yu. "Don't move. Whoever moves again, I'll kill her." As Gong Yu spoke, she placed the dagger in her hand on Guagua's neck. The whole thing happened so suddenly that Guagua didn't even have time to react. She even forgot to cry. Ruan Qingshuang was also completely shocked. After she fell to the ground, she was completely stunned. Cho Yan's almond-shaped eyes flashed with an aggressive, cold light. A sharp, murderous aura rose from her body. If Guagua had not been held tightly in Gong Yu's arms, she would have made her move and killed her long ago. Qin Wan was also stunned by what had happened. The man who had fallen from upstairs and was kicked by Su Yun could still stand up. It was incredible. Was he really human? When did the world become so crazy? There were so many perverts. What did they eat to grow up? Su Yun narrowed his eyes. His gaze was cold and quiet. He already regretted not killing him. If Gong Yu was a dead man now, he wouldn't be a threat to his daughter Guagua. Put the child down. Qin Wan shouted angrily. She raised the gun in her hand again, quickly pulled the cylinder, and pushed the bullet into the gun. Gong Yu sneered and hid his head behind Guagua. He shouted, "Shoot! Shoot! Let me see how accurate you idiot police officers can be with your shots. Ha ha ha, do you know that the moment a child's head explodes is very beautiful?" For a moment, the whole night sky was quiet. It was so quiet that it was scary. Qin Wan had always been confident in her shooting. In the last large-scale shooting competition organized by the Bureau, she was the first in the whole of Hadong City. But now, facing a real criminal, facing Guagua in the hands of a criminal, Qin Wan's confidence inexplicably disappeared. "If you don't want this child to die, put the gun down and kick me." Gong Yu pressed the dagger in his hand tightly against Guagua's neck and shouted sternly. Qin Wan's hands went limp. She had completely lost the courage to confront him. Chapter 25. Ruan Qingxuang was so scared that she could only pray. She even naively thought that it was the fourth wolf gang who came to take revenge. Bang! Qin Wan had no choice. She threw the gun in her hand on the ground and kicked him. The safety of the hostage was the most important thing at any time. This was the principle that she had to abide by as a police officer. She was worried that the man would do something desperate. If he really hurt Guagua, she would live in the shadow of guilt for the rest of her life. Gong Yu was glad that he was lucky. Both Mountain Cat and Qin who were dead. He had to leave this place. Only by leaving this place could he tell the boss where Cho Yun was hiding. Fortunately, he had this little girl. Otherwise, he really did not know what to do. And now Gong Yu began to realize the importance of the little girl in his hand. He did not expect that even violent fox Venerable Cho Yun would be so obedient and not dare to move. Due to the tense situation, Gong Yu did not notice the appearance of the little girl in his hand. Could this child be Feng Qiansui's precious granddaughter that the boss wanted them to find? Thinking of this, Gong Yu pressed the knife tightly against Guagua's neck in his hand. He looked at Cho Yun slyly and said, "You'd better behave yourselves. Think about the child's life before you move." He saw that Cho Yun's eyes flashed with unprecedented anxiety and nervousness. It seemed that this little girl was really the person that their boss wanted. Qin Wan still thought that he was a thief or a gangster. She even wanted to negotiate with him. "Let the child go, and I will let you go. Don't hurt the child. I can satisfy you whatever you want." Gong Yu's mouth curved into a cold smile. He carefully bent down and picked up Qin Wan's gun as if he was treading on thin ice. He was extremely careful during the whole process. The cold sweat on his forehead proved that he was afraid. He was afraid that he would be killed by Su Yun and Cho Yun if he was not careful. When he finally held the gun in his hand, a relaxed and cold smile appeared on his face. Whoosh! Gong Yu raised the gun in his hand and aimed at Qin Wan without hesitation. The sneer on his face became more and more obvious. "Little cop, blame yourself for being nosy. I want to take your life. Are you going to satisfy me? Ahahaha." Su Yun cursed in his heart. Because the bullet was already loaded, if Gong Yu gently pulled the trigger, the consequences would be unimaginable. Gong Yu was very cunning. He knew very well that the chances of him hurting Su Yun and Cho Yun with a pistol were slim. If he wanted to leave, he had to create chaos. Killing this policeman was his best choice. It would give him a chance to escape and leave enough trouble for Cho Yun and Su Yun. Bang! The sound of a gunshot resounded through the night sky. Under the night sky, a dazzling light burst forth from the muzzle of the gun. A bullet shot out from the muzzle of the gun. Qin Wan-er's pupils instantly dilated due to fear. She had never thought that the criminal she was facing would really shoot her. Ever since she entered the police academy, Qin Wan-er had never been as scared as she was today. It was the first time she realized that death was so close to her. The moment the gunshot sounded, Su-yun jumped into the air. He couldn't let Qin Wan-er die, even if Qin Wan-er was a police officer, a profession that he hated the most. But if Qin Wan-er died, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves. Of course, the most important point was that this brainless policewoman was not the same kind of person as the scum of the police that Su-yun hated. Just as Qin Wan-er was about to accept her death, she was suddenly held by a strong arm. A bullet hit Su-yun's right shoulder. A stream of blood spurted out from Su-yun's shoulder like an arrow. Qin Wan-er was stunned on the spot. She only felt a gust of wind blow past, and Su-yun was already in front of her. When she came back to her senses, the two of them had already fallen to the ground. Gong Yu was also very surprised. With Su-yun's strength, he was definitely a top master in the underground world. Why would such a master take a bullet for a lowly police officer? Immediately afterwards, Gong Yu paid a heavy price for her absent-mindedness. The Dragon Abyss flexible sword in Cho Yan's hand pierced out like lightning. In the night, it was like a silver snake spitting out its tongue. It was too late for Gong Yu to scream. He couldn't bear the pain in his right wrist and dropped the gun. Then, his left knee was torn apart by the Long Yuan soft sword. Gong Yu knelt on one knee with a thud. At this time, the hostage in his hand had been taken away by Cho Yun. Qin Wan-er couldn't care less about the fight between Cho Yun and the villain. Su Yun's body was heavily on top of hers. Qin Wan-er didn't know what to do with the blood flowing out of his right shoulder. She couldn't help but tear up. After all, she was a girl. However, Su-yun, who was bravely sacrificing himself, raised his head and showed his white teeth. He smiled and said, "F***ck, a police officer still has the time to cry when handling a case? Isn't that too unprofessional?" Qin Wan-er looked at Su-yun, who could still smile, and was dumbfounded. Although she didn't stop crying, she had completely stopped crying. After Cho Yun rescued Guagua, she handed her over to Ruan Qingshuang, who was completely stunned. Then, she raised the Long Yuan soft sword in her hand and directly attacked Gong Yu. However, at this time, an uncontrollable internal force surged out of Cho Yun's body. That internal force seemed to be tearing her apart. Cho Yun spat out a mouthful of blood. For a moment, she didn't even have the strength to stand. She knelt heavily on one knee and could only rely on the Long Yuan soft sword in her hand to support her body from falling. Earlier, when Guagua was in danger, Cho Yun's internal injuries, which had been suppressed by the silver needles, burst out again. She had been suppressing them. Now that Guagua was out of danger, Cho Yun could no longer endure it. Gong Yu originally thought that he was going to die, but when he saw Cho Yun in such a state, he suddenly felt enlightened. He endured the pain in his wrists and knees and got up. Although Cho Yun and Su-yun were both injured, the cautious Gong Yu didn't continue to fight. He quickly got up and ran for his life. Now that Qin Hu and Mountain Cat were in danger, he had to leave alive. As long as he told the boss the news, he would have made a great contribution. However, when Gong Yu was less than 30 meters away, 3 consecutive gunshots made him completely kneel on the ground of Hadong City. Bang! 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 Qin Wan-er held the gun with both hands and was as steady as a mountain. This was the first time she fired a gun at a criminal. All the distracting thoughts from before were thrown to the back of her mind after Su-yun was shot. She only had one thought in her mind, and that was to not let the criminal escape. Su-yun let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, Cho Yun had taken care of the person on the rooftop. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to count on Qin Wan-er to kill a second-rate master with a gun. Guagua seemed to have just come back to her senses. She looked at everyone blankly, then hugged Ruan Qingshuang and said, "Mom, did Guagua have a nightmare again?" Yes, Guagua has a nightmare again. Don't be afraid. Let's go back to sleep, okay? Guagua, be good." Ruan Qingxuang even suspected that she was having a nightmare too. Wan-er had actually fired a gun. Hurry up and take Guagua back to the house. Cho Yun didn't say anything more. She really didn't want to say a word because of the pressure in her chest. She tried her best to keep her breathing steady, and only then was she able to suppress the internal injury in front of her. Ruan Qingxuang resisted her concern for Su Yun and quickly carried Guagua back to the medicinal cuisine house. She closed the door with a bang. She didn't want Guagua to see the bloody scene just now. Ruan Qingxuang told herself again and again that Qin Wan-er was outside. She saw Su Yun get shot, but she still firmly believed that Su Yun would be fine. She believed that Wan-er would be able to solve all the problems. Guagua was so frightened that she fell asleep in a trance. However, she hugged Ruan Qingxuang tightly and whispered, "Mom. Mom." Guagua is scared. Ruan Qingxuang was very distressed. She quickly hugged Guagua's little hand and said, "Mom is here." Guagua is not scared. After Qin Wan-er shot Gong Yu, she quickly ran back to Su Yun. She looked at Su Yun's vest that was almost soaked in blood and couldn't help but cry silently. "Su Yun, you can't die. You can't die. I'll take you to the hospital right away." Hey, hey, hey. Who are you cursing? Who died? You feel uncomfortable seeing me alive and kicking, right? Su Yun endured the pain in his shoulder and sat up. No matter how strong a person was, they were still made of flesh. However, this small injury was not enough to take Su Yun's life. "You won't die? Then what do we do?" Qin Wan-er was confused. She didn't know what to do when Su Yun was fine. F***ck. Based on what you said, it would be easier if I died? Yun didn't want to talk about this inauspicious topic with Qin Wan-er. He grinned and pointed at Gong Yu in the distance. "Do you know who you just killed?" "Ha!" Qin Wan-er saw that Su Yun's life was not in danger and relaxed a lot. Therefore, Su Yun quickly changed the topic. "Goshok Gong Yu." Su Yun spat out these words clearly. "Goshok Gong Yu." Qin Wan-er was instantly stunned. Goshok Gong Yu was an A-class wanted criminal in Huaxia. He had committed several murders in the 3 provinces in the northeast and the northwest. He had also killed the police who were chasing him. His methods were extremely cruel and bloody. Furthermore, this person was very cunning. The police had spent a lot of energy and money to chase after him, but he had escaped. Moreover, the recent Feng Qiansui incident in Suhang seemed to be related to this person. He's the killer. Qin Wan-er couldn't believe that she had killed a killer who had committed all kinds of crimes. "That's right." Su Yun nodded and said lightly. Qin Wan-er was petrified. Cho Yun used a short minute to adjust her breathing. While the two were talking, she went straight to Gong Yu. She found a dark red card that looked like a mobile phone card on him. This should be the GPS device that they all carried. Thinking of this, Cho Yun returned to the rooftop and quickly found the other two on Qin Hu. It seemed that the two of them had found this place based on this thing. Chapter 26. Qin Wan-er finally came to her senses. She quickly got up and looked around for Cho Yun. She narrowed her eyes and asked Su Yun, "Who is Cho Yun?" "Just like me." Su Yun was still grinning. Qin Wan-er snorted, "How would I know who you are? Take a guess." "I'm not a bad person." Su Yun smiled helplessly. In order to cover up Cho Yun's identity as a killer, he had no other choice. At this time, police sirens sounded. Several police cars arrived. The sound of car doors and dense footsteps could be heard. Someone must have heard the gunshots and called the police. That was why so many police officers and special forces were here. "Oh, Officer Qin, I am truly unable to repay your great kindness. If it weren't for you, I would have lost my life today." Su Yun suddenly hugged Qin Wan-er and cried. He whispered in her ear, "The credit is yours. I don't want the trouble." "Who cares about the credit?" Qin Wan blushed as Su Yun's head was on her chest. Get up. Don't take advantage of me. F***CK. I just want to take advantage of you. You saved my life. I can repay you with my body. When Lu Guangming heard that someone had opened fire, he immediately brought dozens of police officers and special forces to the scene. When he saw Qin Wan, he was slightly shocked. Qin Wan, you didn't shoot him, did you? Director. Qin Wan was speechless. She didn't know how to explain. Su Yun wiped his tears and held Lu Guangming's hand. Director, you must reward the brave comrade Qin Wan. The man she shot was a great villain who had committed all kinds of crimes. More than a dozen armed police officers surrounding Gong Yu's body were shocked. Someone couldn't help but exclaim, Director Lu, this person is a national wanted criminal, Gong Yu, the killer known as Goshawk. Lu Guangming's face changed instantly. He quickly ran over to confirm the identity of the deceased. He couldn't help but exclaim, Comrade Qin Wan, you've done a great service. This afternoon, the provincial police sent a message saying that someone who looks like Gong Yu appeared in Hadong City. I didn't expect you to catch him so quickly. Su Yun secretly smiled at Qin Wan. Qin Wan looked confused. What kind of achievement was this? If it wasn't for Su Yun risking his life to block the bullet, I'm afraid the one lying on the ground would be me. The dozens of police officers all looked at Qin Wan with admiration. They all felt that she was indeed the famous violent policewoman of the Wenhui district. She could even take down a villain like Goshawk Gong Yu. This simply made these men feel extremely ashamed. Inspector Lu, I'll leave this to you. I'll take him to the hospital first. If he hadn't helped me, I wouldn't have been able to. Qin Wan didn't care about the credit anymore. She was most concerned about Su Yun's injuries. Only then did Lu Guangming notice that someone was injured. He quickly nodded and said, I'll ask Xiao Wu to drive you to the hospital. No need. I like riding a motorcycle. Su Yun grinned. He could hug her while riding a motorcycle, but he couldn't do that in a car. Qin Wan wasn't in the mood to think about that. She didn't care where Su Yun was hugging her, as long as Su Yun was comfortable. She told him to sit tight and then went straight to the nearest hospital. Fortunately, Su Yun's injuries weren't serious. They were just grazed by a bullet. Otherwise, Qin Wan really didn't know how she could atone for her sins. After a simple bandage, the bleeding stopped. Su Yun grimaced for a while and got used to the irritation of applying ointment to his skin. Fortunately, this young nurse, Su Wenya, was pretty and perky. Otherwise, Su Yun would have long given up and stopped bandaging. This hemostatic medicine was too ordinary. Even after applying such a thick layer, it did not have much of an effect. Qin Wan, you actually dared to shoot an A-class wanted criminal. Ha, you're quite brave. Su Yun said lightly, have you thought about the consequences? What consequences? Qin Wan was stunned. When she shot, she just thought that she couldn't let the criminal escape from her hands. She didn't know that the person she shot was actually a notorious A-class wanted criminal. Su Yun smiled and said, as the saying goes, the hunter will shoot the bird that sticks out. If you don't want to get into trouble, you'd better keep a low profile. Killing Gong Yu may make you famous, but at the same time, it will bring you more trouble. Compared to reputation, I think your life is more important. I know what you mean. Do you think I'm the kind of person who likes to show off? Qin Wan naturally understood Su Yun's good intentions. Someone like Gong Yu would naturally have bad friends, and they were definitely not to be trifled with. If this matter was spread out, she would definitely attract unnecessary trouble. I will talk to the leader about this. Haha, it seems that you are not all big boobs and no brain. Su Yun laughed heartily. Qin Wan stared at Su Yun. Just as she was about to say something, her phone rang. She took out her phone and saw that it was a call from the police station. Then, she walked out of the ward to answer the call. Inspector Lu told her to hurry back and write a report. This was the biggest case in the history of Hadong City's public security department. Moreover, all the leaders in the station attached great importance to this matter. It was said that the head of the station, Inspector Chen, personally got up in the middle of the night to go to the forensics department to identify the body. Qin Wan could also take the opportunity to tell the police station about Su Yun's advice. It was best not to let the outside world know about this matter. In fact, there was no need to worry about this at all. Hadong City's Public Security Department's director Chen Wei was a very steady person. He knew very well what kind of person Gong Yu was. There were too many fierce people in the underground world. If this matter was spread out, it was inevitable that Gong Yu's bad friends would come to seek revenge. Even if Qin Wan did not say anything, Chen Wei would still give the order to praise this matter in a low-key manner. This matter would only be praised in private and completely blocked from the outside world. After Qin Wan finished the call and returned to the emergency room, she found that Su Yun had disappeared. She hurriedly asked the nurse, Su Wenya, "Where is he?" He said that he had something to do and had to leave first. Su Wenya's face was red, and she looked like she was in love. Qin Wan was speechless. Damn it! What kind of bewitching potion did Su Yun give this little girl? Was it so difficult to go to the police station with her and write a report? Was it so troublesome? When Su Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, the police had already left. The matter of Gong Yu's death was probably enough for them to have a meeting for the whole night. Cho Yun was waiting for him outside the door. "It's done so quickly?" Su Yun was surprised. Violent Fox Venerable was really good at dealing with the aftermath. Qin, whose fate should be the same as Mountain Cat's yesterday, right? The person is cleaned up, but this thing is a little troublesome. Cho Yun frowned and stretched out her right hand. In the palm of her right hand were 3 dark red chips in the shape of mobile phone cards. With this thing, their people will find this place soon. Su Yun could not help but frown. Damn, isn't this troublesome? If I have to deal with these people every day in the future, I won't be able to sleep. Cho Yun, of course, knew how troublesome the situation was. The next time they come, I'm afraid it will be someone even more ruthless than Gong Yu. Although Cho Yun did not say it, she was already prepared to take Guagua away. She originally thought that Guagua would be safe here, and that she would be able to focus on her recovery here. But now, it seemed that everything was going to be in the past. So, what's your plan? Su Yun knew very well what Cho Yun was thinking. He just wanted to hear what she had to say. Leave this place. Cho Yun's tone was very firm. She did not hide her thoughts from Su Yun. Even if she would die if she left this place, she had to take Guagua to a safe place. You really think that leaving is the best strategy out of the 36 stratagems? Su Yun smiled helplessly. It seemed that Cho Yun did not know how to be tactful. Cho Yun was silent. What else could she do? Isn't it just 3 positioning chips? Su Yun raised the corner of his mouth, and a smirk hung on his face. Instead of choosing to leave by yourself, why don't you choose to let them leave? Cho Yun suddenly raised her head. Why didn't she think of that? Su Yun pointed to the southeast. Hadong Airport is over there. You can go and see if there are any flights to South America or Africa. If there aren't any, you can go to Europe. Let them go on a trip. Cho Yun, who was as cold as ice, once again showed a stunning smile. I understand. Su Yun believed that Cho Yun could easily handle such a small matter. She only needed to secretly put the chips into the pockets of a few foreigners who came back to visit their relatives. Then, wouldn't the trouble be completely gone? Cho Yun did not waste any more time. She quickly got up and went to the airport. After watching Cho Yun leave, Su Yun returned to the second floor of the medicinal cuisine house. He saw that Ruan Qingxuang's room was open, and the light was not turned off. He walked over with light steps. Ruan Qingxuang was sitting by the bed, guarding Guagua. She couldn't sleep until Su Yun came back. After an hour of silence, she had basically restrained her fear. Seeing that Su Yun had come back, Ruan Qingxuang finally breathed a sigh of relief. But then, Ruan Qingxuang's heart was in her mouth again. She looked at the bandage on Su Yun's shoulder softly and said bitterly, "Your injury? It's just a flesh wound. It doesn't matter." Su Yun gestured for her to keep quiet. He was afraid that he would wake Guagua up. Ruan Qingxuang lowered her head and looked at Guagua. Then, she tucked her in and got up to close the door. Su Yun sat on the sofa in the living room. Ruan Qingxuang poured him a cup of hot water and asked in a low voice, "How can it not matter? That's a gunshot wound. What did the doctor say? Do you need to be hospitalized? Why did you come back on your own?" "The doctor said that my skin is thick and rough. Not to mention bullets, even a grenade might not hurt me." Su Yun didn't want Ruan Qingxuang to worry. He patted his left shoulder with a high-spirited expression, as if nothing had happened. Ruan Qingxuang frowned and grabbed Su Yun's hand that was patting his shoulder. "Are you crazy? Why did you touch it when you were so seriously injured?" Su Yun grinned. He didn't expect Ruan Qingxuang to be so different when she was angry. My right shoulder was injured." Chapter 27. She's dealing with some personal matters. She should be back in a while. Su Yun picked up the glass and drank some water. He knew that Ruan Qingxuang would always be curious, but he really couldn't explain this matter. Ruan Qingxuang tried several times to hold it in, but in the end, she couldn't. "Who is Cho Yun? I always feel an inexplicable chill when I walk past her. What's the relationship between her and Guagua?" "Guagua? Whose child is she?" Su Yun leaned his body comfortably on the sofa. You asked so many questions at once. I don't know how to answer, and I'm not very clear. I'm just as curious as you." "Su Yun, don't lie to me." Ruan Qingxuang said, "You must know who Cho Yun is. Tell me, I promise I won't say anything." "Would you believe me if I said that Cho Yun is Guagua's personal bodyguard?" Su Yun shrugged his shoulders and grimaced because of the pain from his wound. Ruan Qingxuang stared at Su Yun. "Have you read too many online novels? Even if Guagua has a bodyguard, it should be a handsome guy. Moreover, it should be some kind of secret force. How can it be a girl? I think you're the one who read too many online novels." Su Yun's face was full of black lines. "That's all I know. If you don't believe me, I can't do anything." It wasn't convincing at all. However, Ruan Qingxuang saw that Su Yun's expression was really innocent, so she didn't say anything more. "Then you should rest early. We'll go to the hospital tomorrow morning to check on your injury." "I'll be fine after some sleep. I don't need to go to the hospital." Su Yun got up and went back to his room. He was really tired. After Su Yun closed the door, he took out a white porcelain bottle from his backpack. The healing speed of this powder was much faster than the injection of penicillin and the other anti-inflammatory and painkiller pills in the hospital. Although this powder looked like the sulfanilamide powder given to soldiers by the U.S. military during World War II, its effect was far better than the sulfanilamide powder used to disinfect labor pains. Its effect of inhibiting bacterial reproduction was even better. It was much more advanced than the outdated sulfanilamide powder. The powder was developed by Su Yun himself, so he was not worried about using it. Su Yun tore off the thick gauze that the hospital had bandaged him, and then sprinkled the medicinal powder on the wound. After a burst of sharp pain, Su Yun felt that his whole shoulder was very relaxed. One word, cool. Far away in a secret villa in the suburbs of Suang, a strong man with hawk-like eyes, brown hair, and a high nose was sitting on a huge lambskin sofa imported from Italy. He seemed to be keeping a low profile, and his light green face made him look especially mysterious. He held a glass of whiskey in his hand, and his eyes were fixed on the electronic map on his laptop. There were a few strong men standing next to the man with the green face. He suddenly frowned and said to himself, "Hadong City Airport. What are these three good-for-nothings doing there?" Suddenly, the three green dots on the screen disappeared, and the man crushed the glass in his hand. The hard liquor spilled all over the floor, but his hand was not hurt at all. "Boss, what's going on?" "The locator disappeared," one of them said in surprise. "The signal must have been blocked on the plane," another person said with certainty. The brown-haired man with the green face had a cold look in his eyes. Things seemed to be out of his expectations. He said to the person behind him, "Go get Scorpion. Tell him I have something to ask him to investigate in Hadong City." "Yes. Yes." The man standing behind the sofa couldn't help but shiver. It seemed that the boss didn't trust them anymore. He was going to ask Red Scorpion to take action. Right now, the truly dangerous people had yet to arrive in Hadong City. About 2 hours later, Cho Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant from the airport. The three chips had flown to South America, Western Europe, and Africa respectively. She should be able to live a peaceful life for a while. Cho Yun walked to the door of Su Yun's room. She wanted to go in and say a few words to him, but she heard the sound of breathing in the room. Presumably, Su Yun was already asleep, so she didn't disturb him. After that, Cho Yun walked to the door of Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua's room. She listened inside, and only then did she feel relieved and walk back to her own room. At this time, Ruan Qingxuang suddenly opened the bedroom door and said softly, "Cho Yun, can we talk?" Cho Yun paused and turned around. Ruan Qingxuang's voice was full of expectation. Cho Yun nodded. The two women turned on the floor lamp in the living room and sat on the left and right sides of the sofa. Ruan Qingxuang made 2 cups of light tea and handed one to Cho Yun. Cho Yun didn't refuse. Ruan Qingxuang wasn't a woman good with words. She thought for a long time, but didn't know how to start. She drank half a cup of tea, but still couldn't say a word. Cho Yun wasn't a woman good with words either. After a few minutes, Cho Yun was the first to speak. "Qingxuang, thank you for taking care of Guagua these days. This is what I should do. You don't have to be so polite." Ruan Qingxuang was a little surprised by Cho Yun's words. After all, Cho Yun had always given her a cold and arrogant feeling. "Maybe you are curious about the matter between Guagua and me, but I can't tell you." Cho Yun's eyebrows exuded a touch of sadness. "I have my reasons for not telling you. You are Guagua's benefactor. I don't want you to get involved in our trouble. Please believe me, I don't want to tell you. It's all for your sake." Everyone in the underground world knew that only Feng Chen-sui and Guagua could make Violent Fox Venerable think for them. Now, Ruan Qingxuang had become the third. There was a saying that good people would be rewarded. Ruan Qingxuang's kindness even touched Cho Yun, who was as cold as ice. They met by chance, but Ruan Qingxuang could treat Guagua like her own daughter, taking care of her and doting on her. This alone was enough for her to get the favor of God. "I don't mean that. I don't want to ask about you." Ruan Qingxuang was anxious and didn't know how to express it. "I just want to know, will you take Guagua away?" Ruan Qingxuang's face was full of anxiety and uneasiness. She was afraid that Cho Yun would nod and say yes, but she felt that Cho Yun would definitely take Guagua away. There would be no other answer at all. This kind of entanglement and anxiety all appeared in her expression. "I don't know if I will in the future." Cho Yun was still stingy with her smile. A pair of limpid eyes looked at Ruan Qingxuang. "But at least not now." Ruan Qingxuang smiled and didn't say anything. She got up and walked to the room. Although she really didn't know how to face the result of Guagua leaving, she was glad that at least she didn't have to think about it now. "But, if Guagua doesn't want to go, I will definitely not force her." Cho Yun's last sentence gave Ruan Qingxuang infinite hope. Ruan Qingxuang turned her head and said lightly, "Thank you." After watching Ruan Qingxuang walk back to the room, Cho Yun's red lips curved slightly. She said softly, "I should be the one thanking you." The conversation between the two women drilled into Su Yun's ears without missing a word. Su Yun felt goosebumps all over his body. Violent Fox Venerable Cho Yun actually had such a gentle side. It was simply unbelievable. One had to know that when she killed Mountain Cat and Qin Hu, she didn't even blink an eye. It was late at night. The entire Hadong city was extremely quiet. However, the quieter it was, the more uneasy Su Yun felt. It was just like the sky before a storm. It was always quiet, but when thunder struck, it meant that a downpour was coming. Sigh. Su Yun sighed bitterly. I just want to pick up girls. How did I get involved with trouble again? Could it be that what Master said was true? That I'm just an unlucky guy who was born to be associated with trouble? It was like that in that place. As long as Su Yun was involved in something, it would always be very troublesome. Even if it seemed like a simple task, it would eventually lead to a series of big problems. It would even involve big shots that gave everyone a headache. You can't blame society for your bad luck, and you can't blame the government for your bad luck. Su Yun yawned deeply. If he didn't go to bed now, it would be dawn soon. He didn't want to drag his tired body to the kitchen to cook tomorrow. Go to sleep. There had been a lot of trouble in the past 2 days. Even if he was unlucky, it should be time for him to rest for a few days, right? After all, when Su Yun first arrived in Hadong City, he liked this place because it was peaceful and had many beautiful women. As he thought about it, Su Yun went to play chess with the Duke of Zhou. The Duke of Zhou with the balls. The Hadong City Bureau quickly studied the results of the handling of Gong Yu's case. Although Qin Wan had made a great contribution, Director Chen Wei had spoken. Although this matter was worthy of praise and should be praised, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, this matter must not be spread out. Anyway, Qin Wan didn't like to face the flash of the media, so she was very happy to deal with it this way. Although there were no gongs and drums to praise her, Qin Weiner was still praised to a level she had never reached before. The police rank on her shoulder had also been promoted from the most ordinary police officer to the second-grade superintendent in an instant. What did it mean to be promoted 3 times in a row? What did it mean to have a meteoric rise? Qin Wan-er's position was directly promoted. She was directly promoted by Director Chan to the deputy director of the Wenhui District Police Station. It could be said that she was the youngest deputy director in history. His promotion as a deputy director was based on evidence. He was different from those government officials who rose to the top on a rocket for no reason. Little Qin, you did a good job. The people need police officers like you. Director Chen Wei patted Qin Wan-er's shoulder and said, "Keep up the good work. We all have faith in you. Thank you for your encouragement, Director Chen." Qin Wan-er saluted righteously. Chen Wei smiled faintly. Even now, he found it hard to believe that Gong Yu, an A-level wanted criminal with the nickname of Goshawk, would be defeated by a policewoman from a small Wenhui District Police Station in Hadong City. Chapter 28. Qin Wan-er had been listening to the commendation meeting for the whole morning. After the meeting ended at noon, she immediately found a chance to sneak out. She was not in the mood to listen to the leader's speeches. She only wanted to know how Su Yun's injury was. At noon, the business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was still booming. Because Su Yun was injured, Ruan Qingshuang did not allow him to enter the kitchen. However, Su Yun still insisted on cooking with his left hand and said that he was fine. In fact, Ruan Qingshuang was also very puzzled. She clearly remembered that Su Yun's arm was bleeding last night, but the scar on his shoulder today did not show any trace of bleeding. However, she was still worried and decided to stay in the kitchen to help Su Yun personally. "Sister Wan-er, you are here. Guagua dreamed of you last night. In the dream, you caught the bad guy." After all, Guagua was a child. After the shock yesterday, she did not remember anything. She had completely regarded what happened yesterday as a nightmare. "Guagua, good girl." Qin Wan-er leaned over and kissed Guagua's little face. She looked back at Cho Yun, who was serving the dishes. She could not believe that the cold and arrogant woman from yesterday was willing to be a waitress in the medicinal cuisine restaurant today. "Where is your mother?" "Mom is helping Dad in the kitchen." Guagua pouted her lips toward the kitchen. "They are even sick of cooking together. You still don't want to admit that you are in a relationship." Qin Wan-er laughed dryly, pinched Guagua's cheek, and walked to the kitchen. Guagua's big watery eyes rolled. A love triangle is really scary. Cho Yun had long been used to Guagua's nonsense, so she walked past the front desk without any pressure and went to the table where the customer had just left to clean up the tableware. The first thing Chin Wan said when she rushed into the kitchen was, "Su Yun, are you crazy? You are still cooking after being shot. Do you want your life or money? F***CK. Can you lower your voice? Are you afraid that others won't know that I was shot?" Although Su Yun thought so in his heart, he didn't say it out loud. "Then why don't you hurry up and help me? Quick, wash and cut this eel for me." Ruan Qingshuang said helplessly, "Warner is here. You should persuade him. No matter what I say to him, he won't listen." Qin Wan nodded. She walked over and pulled Su Yun's shoulder. "Look at your wound." After saying that, she was stunned. Yesterday, she was still bleeding in the hospital. How come there was a dark scar today? It was as if a new layer of skin had already grown. "Are you even human? So fast?" Qin Wan-er's jaw almost dropped. She had never seen a wound heal so fast. Su Yun really wanted to hit her with a spoon. "Don't you know how to talk? Why are you betting with me? Are you only satisfied if I don't stop bleeding?" "Yes." Qin Wan rolled her eyes at Su Yun and said angrily, "You don't know how to appreciate others' kindness. It's as if I care about you." Su Yun pointed at his injured shoulder. "You are really heartless. Who did I do this for? My reputation is ruined. I have never suffered such a big loss since I was young. It's okay if you don't want to take responsibility, but you still have the nerve to make sarcastic remarks?" "I will take responsibility. From today onwards, I will live here." Qin Wan immediately made a decision. "Sister Qing Shuang, can you give me a room?" "Really?" Ruan Qingshuang was stunned. She looked surprised. She totally thought that Qin Wan was joking. Qin Wan nodded and said with certainty, "Of course. How can I joke about this? Although I am a free handyman, I can eat a delicious and hot medicinal cuisine every day. Why? Am I not welcome?" In fact, it took Qin Wan a whole night to make up her mind. She had not solved the doubts in her heart, so she had to figure out who Cho Yun was. She dared to confront a vicious killer like Gong Yu, which meant that Cho Yun was definitely not an ordinary person. Qin Wan as a police officer, was certainly very worried about such a dangerous person living in the medicinal cuisine house. Although Su Yun emphasized that Cho Yun had no malice toward Guagua and Ruan Qingshuang, she still decided to trust her sixth sense and keep an eye on this dangerous person. Moreover, Su Yun was in the medicinal cuisine house. This guy, who usually looked like a flirt, could actually jump in front of her to block the bullet at the most critical moment. Su Yun's behavior really moved Qin Wan, but besides that, Qin Wan was more curious about Su Yun. A guy who could sense danger so keenly was simply incredible. Moreover, Su Yun could talk and laugh even after being hit by a bullet, which was not something that anyone could do. When Qin Wan was in the police academy, she also knew a few veterans who had been baptized by real battles. She was afraid that even they would not be able to laugh in the situation yesterday. Su Yun said that he had only been in the army for 2 years, and was not a volunteer soldier. This statement was completely denied by Qin Wan. How could a guy who had only been in the army for 2 years have that kind of fearless spirit? A person who could make the judgment like Su Yun did at the critical moment of life and death must have a lot of unknown secrets. The most important point was what Qin Wan wanted to know the most. How did Su Yun do it? His speed was as fast as a bullet. With Qin Wan-er's knowledge of advanced mathematics, high-energy physics, quantum mechanics, ballistics, and precision guidance technology, it was impossible for a human body to be faster than a bullet. Even the weakest police pistol could reach 350 meters per second. At that time, Gong Yu was only about 10 meters away from them, and the bullet only needed 0.3 seconds to reach Qin Wan-er's body. Theoretically, the limit of a human's reaction time was 0.1 seconds. This was far longer than the time it took a bullet to reach Qin Wan. Therefore, Qin Wan could not explain why Su Yun would take a bullet for her. It was such a heaven-defying action. This was also the reason why Qin Wan felt that Su Yun was not a human, and the most important reason why she wanted to move to the medicinal cuisine house. She was really curious about Su Yun. If Su Yun could help her in the future, wouldn't those serious cases be easily solved? When Ruan Qingshuang heard that Qin Wan wanted to move over, she was naturally very happy. Welcome. Of course, welcome. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Guagua will definitely be very happy if she knows. Guagua had already heard the decision in the kitchen. She poked her head in and said to Su Yun, "Daddy, are you happy?" Qin Wan, you really don't think of yourself as an outsider. Although Su Yun was arguing with Qin Wan verbally, he was very much in favor of Qin Wan moving in. After all, Qin Wan was a police officer. If she was there, Ruan Qingshuang would have less trouble. In Huaxia society, the identity of a police officer was very useful. Of course, this did not include the underground world. At least on the surface, Qin Wan-er's words were much more important than his and Chou Yun's. Most of the gangsters would not dare to disturb them anymore. However, if Qin Wan stayed in the medicinal cuisine house, Chou Yun would definitely feel uncomfortable, right? Su Yun was definitely not thinking too much about this. Chou Yun had now included Qin Wan in the list of people she could attack. After all, Qin Wan was a police officer, and Chou Yun was the #1 assassin of the Suong underworld. Originally, the two of them did not get along. Sister Wan, Guagua welcomes you. Guagua did not think that Qin Wan and Chou Yun would have any conflicts. She only knew that Qin Wan could help them teach the bad guys a lesson. Since Guagua had spoken, Chou Yun could only say nothing. If you want to follow me, I don't object. But you must not bring a lot of trouble to the police. Su Yun also reminded Qin Wan first. If she provoked the police in the restaurant every day, he would not give her face. Okay, in the future, if you can deal with people by yourself, I will not use my connections with the police. But the premise is that the other party must not be a good person. Qin Wan promised Su Yun immediately. But you also have to promise me that if I need your help, you must not refuse. Su Yun shrugged. He knew that this girl did not have any good intentions. It depends on my mood. The process was not surprising. Qin Wan successfully entered the medicinal cuisine house. She thought that it was a good idea to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. First, she could protect the safety of Ruan Qingshuang and Guagua. Second, she could find a chance to catch Chou Yun. Finally, she could have a chance to figure out who the mysterious guy, Su Yun, was. Of course, after Qin Wan joined the big team of the medicinal cuisine house, she immediately went into work and directly replaced Ruan Qingshuang's position. Sister Qingshuang, you just take care of the money. Leave it to me and this guy. Ruan Qingshuang knew that she couldn't control any of them, so she didn't say anything more. Anyway, Su Yun and Qin Wan would at most argue a little. They wouldn't go so far as to flip the roof. Guagua blinked her cute big eyes and said to Ruan Qingshuang, "Mom, Guagua feels that the relationship is very complicated." "What do you want to say?" Ruan Qingshuang looked at Guagua's delicate and smart little face and knew that this little girl did not know what she looked like. Guagua shook her head helplessly. "Now I don't even know which one of you is in love with Dad." Ruan Qingshuang smiled and bent down to hug Guagua. She found that she really could not leave Guagua. If one day she did not have this little girl who was full of nonsense, her life would be much less fun. "Mom, why are you crying?" Guagua shouted to the kitchen indignantly. "Dad, because you cheated on me, Mom is crying." "Damn." Su Yun almost threw the ladle away. What the hell was going on? Ruan Qingshuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. She picked up Guagua and said, "Guagua, if you talk nonsense again, Mom will not like you." Then Guagua will not say anything. Guagua stuck out her tongue and lay in Ruan Qingshuang's arms. Chou Yun's cold eyes flashed with a trace of gentleness. From childhood to adulthood, No one could give Guagua such motherly gentleness. Guagua lacked this kind of love. Perhaps she really should choose to stay forever. She should choose to stay forever for Guagua's sake. Qin Weiner washed the vegetables and deliberately pretended to be careless to Su Yun. Thank you for yesterday. Thank me for what? Su Yun smiled. Qin Wan smiled sincerely. Thank you for saving me. You don't want to marry me, do you? Su Yun looked up at Qin Weiner in surprise. Qin Weiner's mouth twitched. I just want to thank you for saving my life. You'd better not think too much. Chapter 29. After working for a while at noon, Qin Wan went to work. She also said that she would go home at night and pack her things before coming here. Cho Yun didn't say anything and went out. Su Yun knew that she was going to patrol the surroundings to see if there were any clues. Guagua, go upstairs with mommy and rest for a while. Ruan Qingxuang held Guagua's little hand and said, she just wanted to catch up on sleep after what happened in the middle of the night last night. Guagua, of course, didn't have any objections. After figuring out the account, she went upstairs with Ruan Qingxuang. Daddy, I'll leave this to you. Don't go looking for flowers. What the hell? Su Yun almost choked on his saliva. This was a medicinal cuisine restaurant. It wasn't one of the 8 alleys in Beijing. Why are you looking for flowers? Why are you asking for willows? Ruan Qingxuang just smiled at this. Although it had only been a short time, she had already gotten used to these 2 guys shouting in her ears. Guagua went upstairs with her little hands behind her back. She didn't care about what Su Yun was thinking now. Su Yun sat on the chair at the front desk of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He had been waiting for the few punks who had been hanging around the door more than a dozen times to come in. However, those guys seemed to be very worried about something and didn't dare to come in and show their faces. Little hooligans will always be little hooligans. They will never be able to make a name for themselves. Suddenly, Guagua, who had already gone upstairs, suddenly ran down. She stared at Su Yun with a pair of watery eyes and said nervously, Daddy, Mommy's underwear is broken. Su Yun was speechless. What did this kid mean? How is it broken? Well, Guagua suspects that it's broken. Guagua said seriously. Ruan Qingxuang shouted upstairs, Guagua, come back here. If you keep spouting nonsense, Mama will really get angry. Guagua pouted, feeling wronged. I'm just telling the truth. Ha ha ha, Guagua, you can broadcast more news like this in the future. Su Yun had already begun to imagine the moment her undergarments burst open. Ruan Qingxuang's delicate body would definitely break free in an instant. That kind of scene, too exciting. However, at this time, the cowardly gangsters also pushed the door open and entered. Guagua was stunned and looked at them nervously. Su Yun stood up and patted Guagua's little head. Guagua, go upstairs first. After Godfather has dealt with these annoying rats, I'll take you to buy underwear for your mother, okay? Okay. Guagua nodded excitedly. Guagua wants one too. Su Yun was speechless. What the hell do you want? You can wear it. Guagua lowered her head and looked at her chest. I'm about to develop. It's better to be prepared than not prepared. F***CK. Su Yun decided not to communicate with Guagua. Anyway, no matter what he said, she wouldn't understand. The gangsters walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. They first looked around and then looked at Su Yun with a vigilant look, as if they were the victims. Why? Does the wolf dog gang want to stop? Su Yun raised his head and smiled at the gangsters who pushed the door open. Are you itching after not beating for a few days? The calmest one among the gangsters hurriedly said, Kid, our boss asked me to pass a message to you. Today is the last time to consider. If you think clearly, give us a reply. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. In fact, these gangsters came with a mission. They wanted to eat and dash before passing the message. However, They didn't expect that there was a police car parked in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The most popular police officer, Chin Wan-er, was working in the restaurant. Therefore, they didn't dare to come in. Now that they were sure that Chin Wan-er had left, they dared to come to the restaurant to pass the message. While I'm in a good mood, hurry up and get out of here. Su-yun was too lazy to pay attention to this group of gangsters. Tell Wang Xuanqi, if he provokes me again, I'll teach him how to write the word, death. At this time, Cho Yun also came back from patrolling outside. When she saw the gangsters, she was annoyed. She asked Su-yun doubtfully, gangsters from the 4th Wolf Gang? Su-yun shrugged his shoulders and showed that he was very helpless. When the gangsters saw a beauty suddenly walk in, they couldn't help but feel surprised. No wonder this kid would rather mingle in a small restaurant than with Uncle Shi. It turned out that in addition to the beautiful lady boss and the beautiful police officer, Chin Wan-er, the waitress of this small medicinal cuisine restaurant was also such a stunner. Cho Yun didn't pay attention to Su-yun anymore. She turned her head and looked at the gangsters. Suddenly, she showed a piercing cold look. Get out! Although the few hooligans who came to pass the message knew that the owner of the medicinal cuisine, Su-yun, was a fierce person, they still couldn't accept being scolded by a waitress. Even if this waitress was a top-grade beauty, she still couldn't humiliate them like this. Bitch, I gave you face, didn't I? The leader of the gangsters showed his ferocious look. Well, you're awesome. You're not picky when you want to be beaten. Su-yun looked at the gangster with pity and sympathy. How could the foxtail of the violent fox venerable be touched by anyone? Don't beat them to death. They have to go back and pass the message for me. Su-yun sighed. Alas, why are there so many people who don't know the difference between life and death? After that, Su-yun went straight to the stairs, as if he didn't care whether they would bully a girl or not. After Su-yun went upstairs, the pressure on the gangsters relaxed a lot. Little girl, how much money can you earn as a waitress in this shabby restaurant? If you follow me, I guarantee that you'll earn more in a day than in a year. One of the gangsters touched his chin and said lecherously. The other gangsters also laughed. The people in your restaurant don't care about your business. Why don't you follow us? We'll eat and play with you. Ha 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 ha. Cho Yun's murderous aura became more and more intense. These guys who didn't know the difference between life and death actually laughed out loud. They were the typical type of people who didn't know how to write the word, death. We brothers are very strong in all aspects. The one on the bed is also very strong. Ah! Without waiting for the gangster to finish speaking, Cho Yun had already kicked him in the crotch. Although this guy wouldn't die, if he traveled back to ancient times and became a father-in-law, he probably wouldn't need surgery. When the other 3 gangsters saw this, they were furious. However, Cho Yun didn't give them any chance. Straight punch. Whip kick. Knee knock. Simply and neatly, all of them were knocked down. The 4 gangsters all knelt on the ground while covering the place where they were hit. I'll say it again. Cho Yun obviously didn't care about these small fries. She didn't even look at the gangsters kneeling on the ground and angrily shouted, "Scram!" The gangsters didn't care about the pain as they rolled and crawled out. They swore that they had never seen such a terrifying woman. Her movements were as fast as a phantom. Was she a human or a ghost? When Guagua saw Su-yun go upstairs, she ran out of the room and asked, "Dad, when are we going to buy underwear for Mom?" Ruan Qingshuang couldn't do anything about Guagua. She was speechless. This. Su-yun sighed in his heart. We can go any time. It's just that I don't know the size. This thing has to be tried on. I know, 34D. Guagua said with certainty. Dad, can't you tell? Mom isn't as small as Sister Qiling, F***CK. She even knew this. Su-yun only felt hot blood rushing to his head. What did 34D mean? A woman that couldn't be controlled with one hand. Phone Guagua, if you say one more word, I'll spank your butt today. Ruan Qingshuang was completely defeated by this girl. Go into the house for Mom. Dad, Mom gets angry very easily recently. Guagua looked wronged, her big eyes blinking. Menopausal women are so scary. Ruan Qingxuang froze. It was better not to argue with her. She had already described herself as a menopausal woman. Then let's go. Su Yun laughed heartily. Qingxuang, I'll take Guagua out to play. Children will be bored to death if they stay at home all day. Do you want to come with us? Dad, let's go buy underwear for Mom. Guagua still insisted. Su Yun laughed until his stomach hurt. Okay, no problem. The lower beam is crooked. Ruan Qingxuang was completely convinced by this big and small guy. I'm not going with you. Su Yun pulled Guagua downstairs. Cho Yun originally wanted to stop them, but when she saw Guagua's eager expression, she didn't bear to. I'll go with you. That's great. Sister Cho Yun and Mom's cup size are the same. You can help Mom try it. Guagua was really not polite. Cho Yun rolled her eyes. Silence is golden. The two of them took Guagua out of the medicinal cuisine house. Before they walked far, Guagua seemed to have forgotten the mission of going out. One moment, she was shouting about going to the children's park, and the next moment, she was shouting about going to the water park. Su Yun absolutely had no objection to going to the water park. When he thought about the violent fox venerable wearing a swimsuit, he was really excited in an instant. Moreover, there must be a lot of bikini beauties in the water park. It was definitely a man's paradise. You can't go. Cho Yun rejected Guagua's various requests. She rejected all of the crowded and messy places. Guagua suddenly stopped and looked up at the sky thoughtfully. She sighed like a little adult. I haven't played with my friends for a long time. Hearing Guagua's melancholy, Cho Yun's face became gloomy. In a few days, it would be the day of school. Guagua was originally going to be in the first grade, but now, because of various things, she was stranded in this place. Guagua, do you want to go to school? Su Yun's lips curled up slightly. He didn't want Guagua to have a childhood with regrets. Of course I do. Guagua curled her lips and said with yearning but unwillingness in her heart, but the medicinal cuisine house is so busy, and my mother is working so hard. I have to help. Su Yun helplessly laughed. This little girl, it was as if the medicinal cuisine house wouldn't work without her. We can hire another person, then you can go to school without worries. Really? Guagua's face was full of expectation. After all, she was a child and couldn't hide her true thoughts in her heart. Su Yun, Guagua's household registration is not in Hadong. About going to school. Cho Yun also didn't want to say something that would hurt Guagua's mood at this time. However, if she didn't say it clearly now, if because of this reason, Guagua couldn't go to school, it would only make her sadder. Chapter 30. Su Yun laughed and said, I think this little thing won't be difficult for Qin Wan. Yes. Guagua clapped her hands and said, I'm going to find Sister Wan. Well, if she can help Guagua go to school, then Guagua will buy her underwear. Hee hee. Guagua suddenly thought of the main topic and said, Quick, let's go buy underwear for Mom. Sister Cho Yun, you also want one. Anyway, Dad is treating. Should we buy Robila or Sindel? F***ck. Su Yun almost wanted to cry when he heard that. She was indeed the precious daughter of Feng Qiansui. She really knew what was good. She mentioned the world's top brands. The cheapest set would cost thousands of yuan. Guagua, do I look like a rich person to you? Su Yun wanted to cry but had no tears. Okay, Dad, don't pretend. Guagua curled her lips and said, You're so stingy and you still want to chase Mom and Cho Yun? If you don't even have this awareness, I can't help you. Cho Yun completely turned a deaf ear to Guagua's words. It seemed that she had already practiced the magic of turning a deaf ear. Robila is very expensive. Su Yun blinked his eyes pitifully. Guagua shook her head disapprovingly and said, Dad, do you have to force me to say that you have a platinum card issued by the World Bank in your bag? Let alone Cho Yun, even Su Yun was stunned. This little girl really knew too much. Cho Yun had to re-examine Su Yun again. The platinum card of the World Bank was not something that anyone was qualified to apply for. Feng Qiansui wanted to apply for this card in the past, but he was rejected. In a word, this card could not be applied for with money. What kind of background did Su Yun have? I do have a card, but unfortunately, I don't have money. What should I do? Su Yun did not hide anything. Guogua's eyes turned slyly and said, Dad, do you want me to say the overdraft limit of this card? Okay, you're good. I admit defeat. Su Yun was really impressed. However, he wouldn't use the World Bank's platinum card to buy a few underwear. That would be too embarrassing. Guogua decided to rob the rich to help the poor. She picked 5 pieces in one breath. 1 for Cho Yun, 1 for Qin Wan and 2 for her mother, Ruan Qingshuang. There was also a pink and cute one that he had chosen for himself. He had said that she would be able to wear it after a few years when she had developed. Su Yun was speechless. You didn't have to choose a 36G size, did you? This girl was really confident about her future figure. Several female clerks in the underwear store couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. This little girl was a lovable master wherever she went. It was just that her father was a disgrace. Cho Yun was afraid that Guogua would say something shocking, so she didn't say anything to refuse. She could only let this little devil do whatever she wanted. Su Yun's heart ached when he swiped the card. 5 pieces of underwear, which added up to less than 3 pounds of fabric, actually cost him nearly 30,000 yuan. This world was crazy. As soon as the 3 of them walked out of the flagship store, Su Yun's phone rang. When he saw that it was Qin Wan he picked it up and didn't hesitate to ask, What's wrong? Were you kidnapped again? Where have you been? The medicinal cuisine restaurant was smashed. Qin Wan didn't have time to joke with Su Yun. After receiving the call, Qin Wan was a little confused. The medicinal cuisine restaurant had 2 perverts, Su Yun and Cho Yun. How could it be smashed by some gangsters? Then she thought that Su Yun might have gone out, so she called Su Yun immediately. The bright smile on Su Yun's face gradually disappeared. What did you say? I'll be there right away. No matter where you are, go back immediately. Qin Wan hung up the phone and got into the police car. She urged the driver, Xiao Wu, hurry up. What's wrong, Dad? Guogua saw Su Yun's expression and couldn't help but ask in confusion. Su Yun put down the phone and narrowed his eyes. Several cold lights flashed in his eyes. If Su Yun's brothers were present, they would know that their boss was angry, very angry. Something happened to the medicinal cuisine restaurant? Cho Yun guessed it right. Su Yun nodded. I'll go back first. You take care of Guogua. While they were talking, Su Yun had already taken big strides and rushed out. His speed instantly shocked a few passers-by. He was running like Usain Bolt in flip-flops. The street photographer was about to record a video and upload it to the internet, but when he turned on the recording function, he couldn't find anyone. Guogua exclaimed and was very excited. You are indeed Superman, Dad. Cho Yun wasn't crazy enough to carry Guogua and race with Su Yun. She walked to the side of the road and hailed a taxi. She didn't need to rush back. Su Yun could definitely handle it. After all, the people who did this kind of thing were definitely some low-class hooligans. When Su Yun rushed back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, he only saw a mess. The glass doors and windows were smashed, and the floor was full of glass shards. None of the 20 or so tables in the restaurant were spared. All of them were overturned and cracked. The ceiling lights were all destroyed, and the front desk was smashed beyond recognition. It was almost unrecognizable. The medicinal cuisine restaurant was Ruan Qingshuang's painstaking effort. It was the hope that she had endured a lot of hardships alone. Su Yun knew very well what the medicinal cuisine restaurant meant to Ruan Qingshuang. It meant everything to her. Ruan Qingshuang stood in the mess. Although she was seriously injured, she still looked at her medicinal cuisine restaurant with a determined gaze. But after all, a woman was a woman. When Ruan Qingshuang saw Su Yun appear, all of her strength turned into two streams of grievance. Su-yun. Su-yun didn't say anything. He just went forward and hugged Ruan Qingxuang. Ruan Qingxuang had never felt this kind of warmth. Su-yun's hug gave her endless courage and a sense of security. Before she met Su-yun, perhaps this kind of blow was enough to make Ruan Qingxuang completely lose her confidence. But now it was different. Even if she was alone, she believed that she could get through it. Moreover, she had so many people who cared about her now. Qin Wan also rushed over with people. The scene in front of her was simply unbearable. Where are those people? Qin Wan looked at Ruan Qingxuang's heartbroken expression and asked with heartache. Su-yun's cold eyes swept over the messy medicinal cuisine restaurant again. Gone. Qin Wan was anxious, but she had nowhere to vent her anger. What were you doing when the accident happened? Why didn't you stay in the restaurant? Why did you go out and mess around? Su-yun also secretly regretted leaving. He really didn't expect that the fourth wolf gang would come for revenge so soon. Seeing that the few policemen behind Qin Wan were still in the mood to smile and toast each other with cigarettes, Su-yun was angry. He said sarcastically, "Hadong City's security is so good. It's all thanks to you guys. Kid, be polite." Xiao Wu was unhappy when he heard that. He went forward and pushed Su-yun fiercely. This push really shocked Xiao Wu. He used a lot of strength, but Su-yun didn't move at all. Did I say something wrong? Su-yun was polite to Qin Wan, only because of the special circumstances. He had absolutely no patience for other policemen. Xiao Wu's Adam's apple moved. He really didn't say anything. However, Su Fan and the other policemen behind him were unhappy. They all surrounded him. Su-yun sneered and didn't say anything. He believed that Qin Wan wouldn't let them mess around. Kid, I dare you to say one more word. Believe it or not, we'll take you to the station and let you have a taste of what it's like. Su Fan was furious. The other policemen also stared at him angrily. Shut up. Qin Wan turned around and scolded. Have some backbone. If you have the ability, go and catch the person who smashed the restaurant. Don't be arrogant here. I asked you to come here to handle the case, not to pretend to be fierce. What are you shouting for? If you have the ability, shout at the hooligans. Qin Wan-er's words completely shocked the policeman. Ruan Qingxuang was frightened by the furious Qin Wan-er. She wanted to persuade Qin Wan-er, but she really didn't know what to say. Sigh, she couldn't help it. Who asked her to be like this? Everyone in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was arrogant, even Guagua. Ruan Qingxuang was the only Mr. Nice Guy, no, Ms. Nice Guy. Su-yun didn't say anything more. After all, Qin Wan had gotten his approval. She was a selfless and upright policewoman. Su-yun, I will definitely give Sister Qingxuang an explanation. I will never let the criminals go unpunished. Qin Wan-er's heart was filled with righteousness. She wanted to live up to the national emblem on her body. With Qin Wan-er's words, Su-yun believed that he had not misjudged her. Su-yun said lightly, "This case doesn't need to be investigated. It was done by the fourth wolf gang. You took away the bald Wei Laosi who came to the medicinal cuisine restaurant first. You also caught Chan San Pao in the casino on Bowen Street. They are all from the fourth wolf gang. Their boss is called Wang Xuanqi." Su-yun's words stirred up a storm. The policemen behind Qin Wan all looked at each other. The fourth wolf gang. Although this gang was recognized to have done all kinds of bad things, the police really couldn't do anything to them. For example, last time in the casino, Wang Xuanqi easily found a scapegoat, and he still had the title of an expert in Tibetan Mastiff training. Okay. I will definitely catch them. Qin Wan snorted, turned around and waved her hand. Let's go. Su-yun watched Qin Wan and the policeman leave, but the anger in his heart didn't subside. Because Su-yun was very clear about the principles of the police, so it must have restricted Qin Wan-er's behavior. Presumably, he still had to rely on himself. Ruan Qingxuang saw Su Yun's gloomy face and patted him on the shoulder gently. Well, it has happened. We can't change anything. Fortunately, we have some money now. If we redecorate, maybe the business will be better. Seeing that Ruan Qingxuang could be so optimistic, Su Yun's heart also relaxed a lot. It seemed that Ruan Qingxuang's strength was far higher than he expected. Chou Yun and Guagua finally came back by taxi. After seeing the miserable situation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Guagua couldn't help crying. She cried and called for her mother, and then plunged into Ruan Qingxuang's arms. Those gangsters did it? Chou Yun's eyes flashed a strong murderous intent. Ruan Qingxuang was Guagua's benefactor, so she was also her benefactor. Bullying Chou Yun's benefactor was disrespectful to Chou Yun. A group of rotten fish and shrimps. Although Su Yun's tone was understated, his eyes were still cold. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.